Good Thursday to you and welcome. Bill Michaels Show on the air. A little bit better weather today. Cold, but man, not nearly as windy. Holy mackerel. Coming out of the huddle last night over at Kelly's Bleachers. Woo! That was biting last night. Today, a lot more calm, so to speak, but not revolving around the Packers and the Bears and the rivalry as Justin Fields prepping to play, Aaron Rodgers prepping to play. We're going to talk with Kevin Fishbane. Now, Kevin covers the Bears for The Athletic down in Chicago. We're going to talk with him coming up here in about 30 minutes. So stick around for that. But we're going to talk about some of what Aaron Rodgers said yesterday. We didn't get a chance to hear it during the show, but we did it during the huddle last night, and it sparked a lot of conversation. Obviously, Ryan Wood put out a tweet about Aaron Rodgers saying, well, things will look different next year anyway, so it's kind of a moot point, and that's very much putting it in the Cliff's Notes version. And then the world went crazy wanting to know, well, wait a minute, what did he mean by that? What did he mean that things are going to change? Does that mean he's not coming back? Is he coming back? Is he, on and on and on? So it created a ton of discussion. This was Aaron Rodgers talking about just that.
I mean, well, that's an assumption that this place won't look any different next year. So I think, again, that's part of the conversation.
There you go. It's part of the conversation. Like this place is that you're assuming if he, doesn't sit or does sit or whatever, that you're assuming that this place isn't going to look any different next year. And so all of a sudden, everybody wanted to know, wait a minute. Is he not going to be here? Do you have to play him because he's not going to be here? Should you play him? He's going to, and a lot of people just took it as, things change. It's not going to look exactly the same. There's going to be guys that aren't coming back. There's going to be contracts that are going to be restructured. There's going to be new faces. There's going to be draft choices. There's going to be free agents. There's going to be guys that are currently on this roster that are not going to be here. Usually about 20 to 25% of your roster rolls over anyway. So there's an assumption there. It wasn't meant to send a level of panic through Packers Nation. It did. He didn't expound upon it, but it did. All of a sudden people, wait a minute, what? And it's like, chill. We're good. Chill. So anyway, I wanted to get a little bit into that today. And because he's not wrong, it is going to look different. I don't know necessarily what he means when he says, well, that's on the assumption that, well, I don't know what your assumption is. The assumption is that everything's going to be the same, that you're in the same situation. There's going to be decisions made. I'll say this, listening to Aaron Rodgers yesterday, there's one thing that I took out of that conversation. After listening to him talk about the future and about being open to the conversation, should they be eliminated, that he would, as a, quote, business decision. Now, you hear that term, it's a business decision. It's a business decision. So he was asked about the possibility of sitting to play Jordan Love. But the question that was posed to him was, how much will you desire to play next year after, as far as your decision to start all these remaining games? And he's like, well, wait a minute, that's meaning everything's going to be the same, which is a little bit of a bizarre answer. But the one thing that I took away from that conversation was he's coming back. Now, it's up to the Packers what they do with him, whether they pay him or they trade him, but he's coming back. He's not going to retire. I don't say shocked very often, but I think I'd be pretty shocked if he retires. I really believe that. He's coming back. He's coming back. Now, again, what the Packers do as a business decision, that is going to be very much up to them. But he's coming back. He's going to take a little time, going to walk away from the game a little bit, gonna make us all wait, but he's coming back. Should Jordan Love be allowed to play in the final 5 games? Here's his answer.
So look, I'd love to finish the season out, and but I understand, this is a business, and there's a lot of us kind of older guys who play a decent amount, who they might want to see some younger guys play. So, hopefully we don't have to have that conversation. But if that conversation comes up, I'll approach that with an open mind and without any bitterness or resentment. Obviously, like I said, I want to win out, and we don't have to have those conversations. But I understand if we don't, that's a possibility to have that conversation.
There you go. Some of the things that he has to think about. It's a business decision. Business decision. He's right. 100%. It's a business decision. Okay. Good with that. 877-867-1670. Now you can't go back and go, well, wait a minute, they hurt my feelings. They hurt my feelings. No, it's a business decision. Some good news coming out of Packer camp. Wide receiver Christian Watson. He's been named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month for November. How about that? That just came down a couple hours ago. Packers rookie wide receiver Christian Watson, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month for November. Doesn't happen very often, by the way. Not in Green Bay. But nice after an impressive 3-game stretch. He gets the nod. That Dallas game, 4 passes, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. Big time. Then Tennessee had a couple more touchdown catches. Had 110 receiving yards against Philadelphia on Sunday. 12 catches, 265 yards, 6 touchdowns. Just the 3rd Packers rookie to win the award, joining Eddie Lacy and Samkon Gatto. Eddie Lacy and Samkon Gatto. How about that? There you go. Eddie Lacy had a decent career till he ate himself kind of out of the league, but Samkon Gatto, hey, he was kind of a flash in the pan. 877-867-1670. Yashimen says, just wondering, why can't the Packers decline Love's option, then offer him a new contract? Well, what you would just do is give him a contract extension. And you would just work it all in. Because if you decline it, he's a free agent. So what you would do now is you would try to put him in under contract, give him the extension and the money under the guise of, when Aaron walks away, you'll be the starter. Now, if you're Jordan Love, the question is, how many more years do you want to hold a clipboard? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it longer than that? What happens if the team gets really good and Rodgers at the age of 42 is still playing extremely well and wants to play another year or 2? Then in essence, the first 5, 7 years, 8 years of your playing career are spent making money, but you're holding a clipboard. And if you really want to make big money and you believe that you're a starter in this league, then you probably want to go somewhere else. That's why you have that decision to make. Unless, of course, they're going to pay him like a starter. And you would assume that's coming down the pipe at some point. But that's what you would do. You either take on that 5th year, keep him around, or you decide to say, you know what, we're going to give you a contract extension. We're just going to roll it all in and get you signed up. Or you decline it, and then you basically don't get anything for them. So that's the reason. This was from Kenny. Kenny says, hey, Unit, do you think that Aaron Rodgers wants to play but knows it's the beginning of the end? No, I believe he wants to play. I think he knows what the situation is and that you can't take the money and dictate they talk to you about everything, and it's a business, and I'm a veteran, and I've got this experience, and they should listen to me. And then when it really does come down to business decisions, go, nope, I'm in it for me. Because then you're not, you lose that respect. You know, next year's a $31.6 million cap hit when he's 40 years old. The year after is 40.7. The year after that, the cap hit is 59.3. And then in 2026, ultimately, is $53 million of a cap hit. So you're not going to push all of that down the road. And again, you know, if all of it comes to fruition, you got 60-something million dollars you're going to have to split out over a couple years. So you got issues. You knew this day was coming. You got to pay the piper at some point. You just thought this year would have been the successful year to where you could have looked at it, wink and a nod, and said, okay, next year will be a little bit of a decline, and then after that, we're moving on. And instead, this year went horrifically bad. Horrifically bad. And the question I want to get into when we come back from break is, do you believe this team, and this was asked last night as I'm sitting there, and if you read my Twitter account or Facebook page last night, I was setting up. I'm at Kelly's Bleachers last night, and I'm setting up, and there's some regulars, some older people around the end of the bar. There's some regulars sitting there, and they're listening to some older music. You know, obviously Fleetwood Mac was playing yesterday, you know, with McVie passing. But there is this older group, and on comes Journey, Don't Stop Believing. And they're all singing it. You know, they're all singing it. I'm cracking up.
Embarrassing.
It's 4:21 in the afternoon. They're all just, you know, Don't Stop Believing, singing it out, belting it out. So I'm kind of laughing. But as time went on, and I'm sitting there after I got set up, I'm kind of going over some of my notes. And they, you know, this one gentleman sitting at the end of the bar turns to me and says, does this team even have talent? Or has Goody screwed this thing so bad and made us believe they had talent that they're so far in the weeds that even if they get rid of Rodgers, blew it up, that it's going to take them 5 years to turn it around. Now, in the NFL, no longer is 5 years an acceptable turnaround, okay? You could pretty much do it in a couple of years. So 5 years, no, it's out of the question. But I think you have to ask the question, and I want to answer this when we come back. Do you believe this team has talent? And do you believe, now this is a hard one, do you believe that this team's talent is better than their record? Okay? Because usually the old adage is you are what your record says you are. And 99.9% of the time, I agree with that. But they say you are what your record says you are. Okay? So if that's the case, do you believe that this team has more talent than their record showing? 877-867-1670. We're going to step away. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Thanks to them last night for the huddle. Also taking us down to Chicago. We're going to be down at the Sheridan Grand Riverwalk coming up on Sunday inside the Shy Bar. Come on by and say hello. We're going to be there right after the game with a few hours of the Green and Gold postgame show live down there in Chicago this coming weekend for the Packers-Bears rivalry. Come on by and say hello. And if you're looking for a hotel deal, get a hold of the Sheridan Grand Hotel, Sheridan Grand Riverwalk, downtown Chicago. Stop there, stay there, hang out there. That's where we're going to be. Hope to see you down there. Packers fans going down to cheer on the Bears or cheer on the Packers against the Bears. Or if you're a Bears fan and you want to convert just because the Packers have had so much success and you want to hang out with us, you can do that too. We'll welcome you onto the bandwagon. But that's where we're going to be this coming Sunday. Brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. More after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Looking for food this evening, maybe to catch the Thursday night game. Albanese's Roadhouse, Dominic Sports Bar, right there on Blue Mountain Road in Waukesha, right next to Menards. Great place to go. Good food, and they're the baked ziti, really, really good. Really good. The lasagna's fantastic. Stop in, say hi to Joey and his staff. Good people. That is Albanese's Roadhouse, right on Blue Mountain Road, next to Menards in the Brookfield, Waukesha area, across the street from Home Depot. And they have the bocce ball during the winter months as well. So don't let the cold weather deter you. Bundle up and play a little bocce ball outside with our friends over there at Albanese's Roadhouse. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. That's phone number. You got to get a hold of us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. At Bill_Michaels. You can also find us over on Ben Kenny as well. Don't forget, at Ben Z Kenny. At Ben Z Kenny. And you can also find us on the Facebook fan page, on YouTube, on Twitch TV. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Mike in Cudahy. Mike, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's happening on this Thursday?
Well, we're just kind of hanging out and warming up after yesterday's windstorm, so we're all good.
Well, that's good. Hey, Bill, I go by your philosophy for any team in any sport winning a world title. Strength of schedule, I think, was one. The injuries is another, and I think chemistry or maybe peaking at the right time, and then a little bit of luck. I don't know if I got all of them or not. I remember that you used to say that all the time.
Well, the four things you need are you need to be good, you need to be healthy, you need to be hot, and you need to be lucky. Those are the four things.
So kind of about the same, right?
Yeah.
Just different wording here.
Yep.
I think the Packers are better than their record, but that's where the injuries come in, and also the coaching. I mean, especially for defense. What this team is lacking, Bill, I think they need a blue chip leader, a player on the offense and defense and special teams. That's part of it too, because the common denominator, Bill, when the Packers are pretty much any other team in any other sport, when they won a world title, they had a key blue chip player in each phase of their game. And I think what's going to happen is, they're not going to blow everything up. They're going to plug a few holes at the end of the season. And I understand what Rodgers wants to do, but I think also at the same time, we all got to be, I don't know, we have to be honest with ourselves. let's say the Packers get him, okay? Based on the last 3 years, I've been saying this all along, based on the last 3 years when they won, they had 13 wins, and they had that perfect storm and they never took advantage of it. And this is the past 3 years. I think if there's any window that's open, it's very nil or to slim or none. And I just think that if anything, if the worst thing that can happen, if we lose a lot of games, we get a higher draft pick. But then again, you've got paying Rodgers all this money, and that does not leave us open to really do a lot of trading or free agency or, re-signing people. So they're going to have a long look at the end of the season, how they're going to evaluate and assess what's happened.
Right.
And that's my statement.
Nope, I completely understand. Mike, appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for listening to us in the Milwaukee area on the Big 920. I believe there's talent. I believe for whatever reason, the offense has been anemic. It scored some points, but it has taken a while, granted, for some of the young guys, the young wide receivers, and a true weapon in Christian Watson to emerge. Okay? I think the depth of weaponry is less than what we want to believe it is. I firmly believe that. I think as much that we were woefully misled with the likes of Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard, woefully misled. Randall Cobb has been solid, surprisingly solid, but like Puxatawny Phil popping up to see a shadow, he's got an injury coming. Christian Watson has been good. Romeo Doubs, it's a shame he went down when he did because that tandem could turn out to be pretty solid. Who knows? Samori Toure, he's got a lot more work to do. But Alan Lazard is a guy. Sammy Watkins is less than a guy. Those two guys you were kind of really relying upon, and that never materialized. Lazard is at best a fourth in a deep passing scheme. When we evaluated the defense, I was a little bit skeptical about a guy like, say, Rasul Douglas, because he didn't have this great career, but he had a great second half of the season with the Packers, getting 6 picks and looking like all world. But you can't ignore prior to that. But what you looked at was he was happy with the scheme and the way he was being used. And, remember last year you didn't have Jair, so positions were changed a little bit. And Stokes looked really good last year. And you thought, man, when you get Jair back, you're going to have Jair and Stokes, and this thing's just going to fly. Rasul Douglas is back there as your nickel. Savage is a hitter. And, boy, he's fallen off the page just dramatically. A terrible year this year. Adrian Amos, he's steady, he's stable, he's not dynamic, but he's been somewhat of a calming center fielder, influence-wise back there. Devondre Campbell is not having the same season he had last year. Rashawn Gary going down hurts. The depth on that D-line, it starts in the trenches, and I have been saying for years, that's great. Dean Lowry gives you some statistics. And every time he gets a sack or every time he gets a big play, you get all the Dean Lowry supporters coming out of the woodworks going, see. And it's like, no, it's not consistent. And they gave him the contract. And it's not there. And I think it's been a down year in play for a lot of guys. And I also think when you're losing, you're getting beat, and you're dragging ass, you're a step slow. And a step slow will lead to bad tackling. Because instead of squaring a guy up and putting your shoulder into him, you're reaching for him. You're arm tackling. You don't have that pep in your step. You go against a team like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, those guys are playing. They're playing for number 1 in the NFC. They're playing for home field advantage. They're playing for something. The Packers are just trying to hang on to the cliff without falling off. And then all of a sudden you start to see it slipping away, and guys are like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to play my position. I'm going to do my best. But you don't have that energy. You don't have that pep. It's not the same. And therefore, you're a half a step slow, which means you're arm tackling, you're grabbing. I look at coaching in a lot of ways. You can have a quiet, inspirational guy like a Vrabel, who is the epitome of, quote, the man's man, the machismo that is the sport, very fundamentally sound. 99% of the time, his team, very fundamentally sound. They don't have outstanding all-pro, Pro Bowl talent all over that roster, but they've got a very sound roster, and they're very fundamentally sound. They played sound in the trenches with the Jets. They played sound football. They won in that area. Packers aren't winning in that area. Not defensively, they're not. So I still think Devondre Campbell is a talent. I still think Rashawn Gary is a talent. I still think Preston Smith is a talent. You would expect Preston Smith to go up next year because his career has been up, down, up, down. Just look at it statistically, up, down, up, down. It's been the whole way. Next year probably comes on like gangbusters. But what you have up front is weak. And maybe the pep in the step, the energy in the building, that's leadership, whether it's coming from your team leaders or your coaches. That's leadership, man. That's where you point the finger. And, you know, like I said, I've never been in favor of calling out jobs, but I know Joe Barry can't come back. I know that. He cannot come back. And Matt LaFleur, with his public denials of, well, it's these guys, it's that guy, I can't believe I'm up there answering that. It's like, dude, do you not see the reality of what it is? You know, do you not get it? Because if you don't get it, you have no business being a head coach anymore. And then I draw into question very serious issues with the head coach as well. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc. And if you're looking for gift ideas for the Harley lover in your life, that's the place to go. Stop in, say hi to the GM over there, Craig, good guy, but they have got motor clothes. They've got a whole room of clearance, just clearance stuff. So if you're looking for good deals, if you're looking for, we'll say, a whole new selection of new and used motorcycles, they have them. I mean, a big selection too, and it's growing. So now's the time to make a deal. Maybe, just maybe, you want to start talking about parts, something that you've been wanting for your bike, or somebody in your gift giving life that you know has been wanting something, whether it's new grips, heated grips, new foot pegs, boards, whatever. Maybe you go in there and pick up a purchase. That could be one of your gift ideas. Think about that for the Harley lover in your life. Stop in, tell them we said hi. That is Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc. wishd.com. That is wishd.com. Coming up next, going to talk some Bears football. Kevin Fishbane of The Athletic is going to be joining us. We'll talk with him about what's going on with his Bears team. That's coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show, brought to you by our friends at Growth Law Firm. Go to growthlawfirm.com, growthlawfirm.com, and give them a shout. They are attorneys for bikers. So if you've had an injury or some issue, they can help you out. So by all means, check out Growth, Groth, and one of the best, too, in the country, but they're right here in our own backyard. Growthlaw.com, growthlawfirm.com, growthlawfirm.com, Groth, by the way, Groth. And you can go ahead and give them a shout. Tell them we sent you. Be good stuff. Joining us now, talking some Bears football. Will he or will he not be playing? Kevin Fishbane of The Athletic. You can find him over on Twitter at KFishbane. Joining us now on the hotline. Kevin, how you been?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So the big question is Justin Fields, obviously with the shoulder issue. They keep saying, well, if he plays with a harness, you can't injure it any worse, which I don't necessarily believe. If you get landed on or a big hit, you can. But is he going to play in this rivalry game this weekend?
Yeah, the fact that he was limited again yesterday and they made the move to bring in Tim Boyle, who obviously you guys know well, off the Lions practice squad as more quarterback depth, it doesn't give me a ton of confidence that he's going to return this week. It's one thing to just go find an emergency quarterback to stash on the practice squad to be safe. It's another thing to actually sign somebody off of our team's practice squad. So that's something to kind of monitor. It's, they keep saying day to day and we'll see how he looks today. And it seemed like he wanted to play Sunday. If like right now at this second, I'll say my guess is no. My guess is he doesn't play, which would be quite the situation where it could be Tim Boyle against his former team. It could be Nathan Peterman against the Packers. But I also wouldn't count Justin Fields out either of the possibility that he progresses really well Friday and Saturday, shows up to Soldier Field Sunday feeling good and really wants to play and kind of pushes it a little bit.
Where is this team right now? I mean, if you listen to, and I listen to Chicago radio. After a few of these games, it almost sounded like it was a win. There was a lot of excitement and thoughts. And is it just the fact that the optimism is you believe you finally have a quarterback after all these years?
Yeah, that's it. It's been a strange season in that regard, right? Like, we're so used to over the past few years, few decades of just these painful losing seasons and not having the right guy quarterback. And now fans believe they got the guy, and they look at the rest of the roster and they say, okay, this isn't the playoff roster. This isn't the playoff team. Let's get the best draft pick possible to kind of accelerate this rebuild because we've got the guy. But it creates an odd dynamic where, as you said, it's like there are radio stations in town that are literally celebrating the losses. And you have your quarterback, and you would like to think that you want the quarterback to win. I think we see this a lot in all sports, right? Where teams where the Bears are at, those fan bases get very focused on roster building, and the best way to build a roster is through the draft. So you get focused on draft pick. Tanking has become more accepted in today's day, and it's something that fans root for. But usually in the NFL, fan bases who do that are fan bases that don't have a quarterback, that are comfortable with their team losing because they want to draft the best quarterback possible. Here, Bears fans believe they have the guy, and they're okay that he's not leading these fourth-quarter winning drives because it's going to help them get a better draft pick. So it's a bit of an odd situation. Like I'm of the mind that I get it. Like, yes, having the number 2 or number 3 pick is a massive difference potentially than having, say, the 8th or 9th pick. But if this guy is your guy, if Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback, if he's going to be kind of the savior, you'd like to see him lead a game-winning drive once in a while and experience winning and obviously he won a lot before he got here. It's not like he needs to learn to win, but it's different in the NFL. So it's been a little bit of a unique season in that regard.
I completely agree that he is a dynamic player. There's an athletic player. We hear so much about athletic players. It still doesn't deter from the fact that they are the worst passing team in the National Football League. And I guess my question becomes, have you really been able to determine, is he a good passing quarterback, playing quarterback, or is he a run-first quarterback who happens to throw the ball every now and then? And then, because you always worry about the dynamic of, well, what happens if he gets his legs taken out from underneath him and all of a sudden he can't run anymore? Is he good enough to sustain as a pocket passer?
Yeah, right now his best attribute is his running, and that has helped get the Bears to a streak where they were scoring 29 points a game over 4 games. That has gotten him to these records of rushing yards, and it's opened up some things in the passing game. But right now, he's not somebody that's proven to be able to beat a team with his arm. And, I think some people will say, well, wait, when he has better receivers, a better offensive line, and better defense, then it'll be fine, because some of these games have been pretty close. But you still have to be able to, if a team takes the run away from you, you got to be able to counter that. And he's more than capable of doing it. We just haven't seen it enough. I think over the last 4 weeks, probably that 6-game stretch, he's gotten much more accurate in the short to intermediate range, which is really a struggle early on. I think that's been key. But I keep coming back to these fourth-quarter drives, right? Like that's where you make your money. I mean, how many times, have you guys seen Aaron Rodgers do it? How many times did you guys see Brett Favre do it? Where you just knew game on the line, you guys can get it for you. Now, Justin Fields has this interesting element where he can potentially lead those game-winning drives with his legs. He almost did against Washington with an incredible, 30-plus yard run that got them into a goal-to-go situation. And Darnell Mooney dropped the pass, and we would have a different narrative if he had hauled that touchdown in. But you like, that's kind of the next step for him, right? That's still part of his development, is being able to threaten teams better with his arm, to kind of be that, total package of quarterback. Right now, as you said, he is a dynamic athlete. He is doing things with his legs that only Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick have ever done, which is incredible company. But right now, it's still kind of that's still kind of the lingering question, is what is his ceiling as a passer, and how can he get there?
With him being that banged up, do you feel it's in the best interest of the Bears to put him on the field this weekend?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really do understand both sides of the argument, because, I kind of heard you say in the lead-in, like, yeah, he could certainly injure it more, and you don't want that. But the other thing too is, if he rests it and gets the bye week and comes back and plays the Eagles, he can still get hit hard and hurt it again. He can get hit hard and injure another part of his body and be out for the year or something like that. I think the risk is always there. And if you're so focused on getting this guy the reps he needs to continue to develop, I think it's important for him to be out there as much as possible. So I do look at it as a very simple thing for me. If he's 100%, he should play. Now, maybe if they were contending, you let him go if he's 85, 90%. And so I get that that's kind of the difference with where they are at in the season right now. But to me, if he can go, he should go ahead and play, because that injury risk, especially the way he plays, it's just always going to be there.
Talk with Kevin Fishbane of The Athletic, covering the Chicago Bears. Big game coming up this weekend, rivalry game. Not much other than that really riding on this thing. So give me your thoughts on just fan base feel right now. Obviously excited about maybe what the future could hold for the Bears, but the slow demise of the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers coming back after the "I own you" comment, and quite possibly it could be, I don't want to talk about it too much, but it could be the last time Aaron Rodgers appears in Soldier Field as a Green Bay Packer. Is all of that starting to be discussed down there?
Yeah, it is. It would be, I think, when all those Aaron Rodgers rumors have been circulating over the past year and a half, there were a lot of Bears fans that were as excited about anything related to the Bears as they've been in a long time. That's just, it's a sad state of where the team is at, that if Aaron Rodgers had left Green Bay for Denver, or if he had retired, it would have been the best news the Bears have had in years. Just the way that he has, to use his word, he has owned them. So this is an interesting spot for him to come into Soldier Field. He said might be his last time as a Packer in this game. That, as I think for people in your spot and my spot, you kind of want to see Justin Fields play, because you want it to be an exciting game, and it will not be an exciting game if Nathan Peterman or Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian is starting for the Bears, who are already totally undermanned with all the injuries they suffered last week. But yeah, it's Rodgers has had a hold on this rivalry, similar to the way Brett Favre did. The two teams, right? They have the same number of wins right now, and the Packers could pass them for the first time ever, and that's notable. And it means a lot to the McCaskey family. It means a lot to Bears fans. So I think that they're, as much as earlier, there's a lot of Bears fans that they want the losses, they want the draft pick, they're happy about Fields, so they're content with the losses as long as Fields is going the right direction. I think a lot of them would probably take a win over the Packers if it meant potentially upsetting Rodgers in his final game at Soldier Field. That stuff means a lot to Bears fans, this rivalry, and the fact that this guy has just dominated them for so long.
The rivalry obviously always sparks many different things on many different sides for obvious reasons, being the oldest rivalry in the NFL. But Rodgers wants to play because of the rivalry. Fields wants to play because of the rivalry. Both defenses not very good. And I'm sure there's a couple of guys that don't want to play, even if it's a rivalry game, because they've stunk it up. The Packers can't tackle, and the Bears don't seem to be able to cover too often. That's really the Achilles heel of both of these teams, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know it's way better than me. The demise of Packers defense has been one of the biggest surprises. I mean, it's just seeing the names and seeing what they did at times last year. That's been really incredible to watch. I didn't expect the Bears defense to be any good. Now that could come into play on Sunday, right? Where maybe some of those veterans for Green Bay make big plays when they need to, where the Bears don't have those guys. They just don't have game-changing players on defense. I mean, they had a defensive lineman get a sack last week to the first time in 6 weeks. They had a cornerback break up a pass for the first time in 3 weeks. They just don't have guys that can change the game. They might be without Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon, the Bears, two of their kind of young cornerstones for their secondary. So it shouldn't be, if we're assuming Rodgers is playing, which he says he is, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to pick his spots and put up a lot of points. And the Bears run game, David Montgomery's been really successful against the Packers in his career. The Bears have run blocked very well. So that could be their opportunity to try to keep this game close, as if he's able to put up a big game at Soldier Field. This could, he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. So, there's a lot riding on this for him. So that could be the way the Bears keep things interesting, is if they're able to kind of run all over the Packers a little bit and try to keep Rodgers off the field. But it's hard, when I think about Aaron Jones, I see what Christian Watson's doing, and I know who's on the Bears defense and what they've been doing. Last week, they made Mike White look like a Hall of Famer. It's hard for me to see how they're going to stop Green Bay.
Good stuff, Kevin. I will see you down there on Sunday, but thanks for joining us for a couple of minutes, okay?
All right. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, bud. There you go. That's Kevin Fishbane of The Athletic. You can find him at K Fishbane over on Twitter. We're going to step out, take a quick break. Be right back. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Ho, 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 I need new windows.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later. Ho, ho.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Sure, license show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers worked out inside the Hudson Center, reviewing the game plan against the Bears Sunday. There's excitement the Packers could get rookie receiver Romeo Doubs back. He practiced for the first time since suffering a high ankle sprain against the Lions a month ago. Doubs asked if he could play this Sunday.
Right now, it's real questionable. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll leave that up to medical staff or whatnot, but I feel great coming out today. Expected to feel real good coming out again tomorrow.
Aaron Rodgers did not practice, but insists he'll play despite some sore ribs and a fractured thumb. Why does he want to face the Bears?
Pride, for one, love of the game. They're paying me to play. A lot of different issues, but, I love to compete and want to be out there with my guys.
I asked Matt LaFleur about Rodgers insisting he'll be ready.
Well, it just speaks to how competitive he is and how much he's invested into this game, this team, and regardless of circumstances. And that's what we kind of talk about our team all the time is competitive greatness, being your best when your best is required, regardless of the circumstance. That's one thing you can always expect from him.
Last year when the Packers beat the Bears 24-14, Aaron Rodgers yelled, "I own you" to the fans in the stands. Do the Bears want a rematch? Tight end and Chicago native Cole Kmet.
Yeah, let's bring it on. Why wouldn't you? He's the staple of their franchise, and to get opportunity to go beat him, it would always be a good feeling. So yeah, I would, like to see Aaron out there for sure.
That's Bears tight end Cole Kmet. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. 877-867-1670. Hey, don't forget, if you're looking for, you got a car person in your life, motorcycle person, speed person in your life, Great Lakes Dragaway down in Union Grove. The 2023 season pass is on sale right now. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com. That's GreatLakesDragaway.com. That's GreatLakesDragaway.com. By the way, there is now Cameron Wolfe reporting there is an active arrest warrant out for the former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown from the Tampa Bay Police Department for now domestic violence and battery. Cameron Wolfe, a national NFL reporter, and works with the NFL Network. He was at ESPN for a while, the Denver Post. He just posted that, and he posted a picture of the actual warrant on his Twitter account. So Antonio Tavares Brown is wanted now with battery, domestic violence. Just another fail, epic fail from Antonio Brown. We've been saying for a long, he keeps saying he's fine, but been saying for a long time there's just something that's not connecting there with him. It is what it is. Coming up in the next hour, I want to get back into the discussion of the Green Bay Packers and also the college football playoffs. The Rose Bowl opens things up and says, yep, we're good. We got it. We'll tell you what it is when we come back after the top of the hour break. No! Yeah, stay tuned for that. But I still want to go with our lingering Packers chatter because I think it's you got to – where this team is right now with wins and losses, where this team is right now with coaching and where this team is right now with talent, from what the expectations were to where we are today, the complete disconnect. And you have to ask, obviously there's some talent issues, but is it coaching? Is it the overall talent? What has gone so horrifically wrong? This is something we're going to obviously analyze come the offseason. But you're sitting here today, you're going, what the hell has happened to this season? It's December. It just turned December 1st. And this team is just, for lack of a better term, bad in so many different facets. And I want to get into that when we come back. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show yet to go. We're going to talk some college football playoffs as well. More coming up right after this.
I'm Ebo.
A much better day today weather-wise than the wind and the bitter cold we had yesterday. It's cold, but it's not nearly as bone-chilling as it was yesterday. Sun is out. Not a bad way to go. Again, it's Packers-Bears week, rivalry week. Throw the records out the window. So looking forward to the game this coming weekend. A reminder that we are going to be in Chicago this weekend. If you're looking for a place to stay, head down to the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk. We're going to be there. The Green and Gold postgame show will emanate live from inside the Shy Bar inside the hotel coming up on Sunday right after the Packers and the Bears. Really, really looking forward to this. Can't wait. Really looking forward to this. So if you're going down to Chicago, even if you're not going to go to the game, come on over. They have the TVs in the Shy Bar or nearby. They have Shula's Steakhouse down there. They've got some other bars and restaurants in the area. But after the game, come on over and hang out with us for a few hours for the Green and Gold Postgame Show, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. But we're going to be live in Chicago coming up this Sunday, immediately following the Packers and the Bears. And we're going to be inside the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel. Come on by and say hi. Looking forward to it. So last hour, for those that, and welcome to all of you that are now joining us on the network. We appreciate that. The last hour, we got Kevin Fishbane from down in Chicago covering the Bears for The Athletic, and it looks like Justin Fields is going to play. The question that I have is these two teams now effort towards one another this weekend. When you look at the standings, and it's December 1st, the Packers have 4 wins and 8 losses. 4 wins and 8 losses. What went so horrifically wrong? You know, what went so wrong? Because, you know, as we talked about, the old adage is, you are what your record says you are. Is this team really a 4-8 team? Now, I think we were completely misled when it came to the weapons for Aaron Rodgers. Sammy Watkins and Alan Lazard, nah. No, I'm sorry. This whole thing about Alan Lazard's a good route runner. But there is, and I said it before, I'll say it again. I bought in like when we kept hearing Aaron Rodgers praise him and talk about him, and I'm buying in, and I'm like, yo, okay, he's ready to step. And your eyes tell you different. There's nothing dynamic there. Good route runner, good hands. You know where he's going to be, but as far as the technique and the ability and the speed and the leaping and such, there's nothing dynamic there. He's a guy. Sammy Watkins is a guy that used to be a guy. He's not even that anymore. And at least if you've seen some of the routes he's run and some of the indicators he's looked at, I don't want to say between him and Aaron Rodgers, somebody's not getting it right. And he's certainly not on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. And if you don't know where the hell he's going to go, then you can't throw it to him. Randall Cobb, I think, has had a pretty good season. But like I said before, I'll say it again. Like Puxatawny Phil comes out every year to see his shadow. Randall Cobb is going to get hurt. You just know it. Then you got Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Samori Toure. Not a bad start for these guys, but you can't carry these guys. These guys can't carry this team. You're hurting. It was a woeful misstep by management when it came to the weaponry of the Green Bay Packers. You finally got David Bakhtiari back. Elton Jenkins, he has not had a good season, admittedly, and usually it's the season after you come back from an ACL injury that you actually go back to being pretty much into your complete form. So you look for Elton Jenkins to be better. David Bakhtiari, when he's played, and now that he is playing consistently, he's been really good. He's been back to being David Bakhtiari. He's been good. Josh Myers has had his moments of ineptitude, but for the most part has been solid. John Runyon, pretty solid. Yosh Nijman, took him a while to get acclimated to the right tackle position, but he's been pretty solid. Robert Tonyan is Robert Tonyan. He's going to be a pass catcher. He's going to get open every now and then. He brings enthusiasm. He brings a joy to Aaron Rodgers. Mercedes Lewis is non-existent on this team. And then the backs are what we thought they were. That's it. That's kind of the assessment of the offense. You can nitpick offensive line here and there, and guys have had missteps. Guys have gotten blown up. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. Look at what happened against the Giants, the Jets, the Commanders. Those 3 games alone, they got blown up. You read some of the Pro Football Focus rankings. Josh Meyer ranks as one of the lowest rated centers in the league. So, yeah, they've got some issues, no doubt. Then you go to the defense, and you think, okay, they picked up, they brought back, and signed Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, the rookies. You're going to run around, you're going to make some plays, you're going to show off some of your wares and your athleticism. But as far as becoming a honed defender in the National Football League, it very rarely happens to a rookie. It takes a while defensively to a rookie. Kenny Clark is Kenny Clark, but even he's had somewhat of a regression, mainly for the fact that once Rashawn Gary went down, there's nobody on the front to double team anymore. Preston Smith, who traditionally goes up and down, he's up and down. He's on the down cycle. Next year, you expect him to be on the up cycle. Dean Lowry is at best a dude. That's it. That's it. He'll give you a few statistics here or there, but he's at best a dude. Jerron Reed, he didn't really fortify much. TJ Slayton, he's just a big body. A big 325, 340-pound body, somewhere in there. Jonathan Ford hasn't done much of anything. Engabari, yeah, he's been impressive as a fifth-round draft choice. Hell yeah. He's given you some quality snaps. I think Isaiah McDuffie has looked solid at times, but when you got Jair back, you're like, man, pay Jair. He's one of the best cover corners there is. Stokes did a great job last year. Oh my God, he's so good. This is going to be the best secondary in all the National Football League. Then you got Darnell Savage, you got Rasul Douglas, you've got Adrian Amos back there. Boy, this is just amazing. This is going to be great. And it just hasn't turned out that way. Just hadn't turned out that way. Special teams have been somewhat better. I think we can all agree upon that. It took them way too long to say Amari Rodgers sucks. I don't know why it is that we can see it and they can't, but okay. So what went so horrifically wrong? The talent or the coaching? I think that while, Mo Drayton blasted out of here, but it took him a week to get it. But they've done this due diligence to keep guys around, to keep them in the system, to hire from within. You can't do that anymore. You got to bring in an outside D coordinator. The inspiration in front of a camera has been lackluster from Matt LaFleur, who has at times gotten upset with questions, legitimate questions about his team and or coaching staff. When it's like, you can't get mad that we're asking this question. I mean, after the media got duped into the whole immunization versus vaccination, my thumb is hurt as opposed to broke thing, stop. You've lost all credibility when it comes to us asking additional questions. So, and I appreciate the fact that they do stand up there and take questions in a long, free-form style of press conference, but there's not much to hang on to. There's not a lot of energy. When you're losing, there's not energy anyway. But, even during the season, even starting off the season, yeah, you got a few games where guys are flying around, but man, it just, it's been bad. It's been lackluster. And I think it starts with the catering to Aaron Rodgers. I think it starts with Aaron himself. It's been a trickle-down effect for a head coach that looks as if he's catering to the quarterback and not vice versa. A front office that has tried to make peace with that guy. They put themselves in a very awkward position. This has been a mess ever since Jordan Love was drafted. You talk about throwing a monkey wrench into an organization. It was a bad decision. It's a bad decision. He may turn out to be fantastic. Who knows? But it was a bad decision, and the timing of it was brutal. It really, really, really did just mess things up. So there's a lot of blame to go around for how this team got here. Now you have to ask yourself, how really good is this team talent-wise? How good are they? Are they a team that can rebound? Like next year, you bring in a different D coordinator, you add a couple of veteran pieces, maybe you shift a few guys around, and all of a sudden you're off and running? It can happen, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody's coming back next year with something to prove. And I hope they're led by their quarterback. But how good are they? Is this team lacking talent? Is it coaching? Is it front office? If you're gonna sit there and point a finger, where are you pointing the finger? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I'd love to know. I would love to know what your thoughts are in this season. Because, I mean, we can obviously look at Joe Barry and say, I haven't gotten it. I think you're bad. I think your lack of aggressiveness has rubbed off on your defenders. And I think it's a bad system. I think he's a bad defensive coordinator. I think it's a bad system. Just do. But I would love to know what your thoughts are. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. This is from Kathy. Kathy says, number one, head coach. It all trickles down from him. He has to take responsibility, and he keeps denying responsibility. Yes, he says he has to coach better, but does that mean just coaching X's and O's or actually being a leader of men? He doesn't seem like a leader of men. TJ says, have to point the finger at Joe Barry. His defense has sucked, put a lot of pressure on an offense that couldn't take the pressure because of the lack of weapons. They were the unit that was supposed to help us win games, and instead they have failed. John says, I look at Matt LaFleur. I listen to him speak. He doesn't inspire any kind of enthusiasm for me as a fan. It's time to change leadership. Eric says the talent on the field is awful. Got to go with Gutekunst, and I agree with you. His pick of Jordan Love, while Love may turn out to be an all-pro, was horrible, and the timing of it was bad, and he blew up this franchise. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Also, you lost a couple of key components, too. Don't forget. Luke Getsy, Nathaniel Hackett, which kind of jostled some guys around. Don't forget. Moved players around, or moved coaches around. So, obviously, Butkus, Stenovich, those guys moved positions as well. Bringing back Tom Clements played into that. So there's been some face changes on the coaching staff. But I want to get your thoughts. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hey, if you're looking to get a new home or maybe a fast pre-approval, and don't let the interest rates deter you because they're going to come back down. Okay, so you buy a home now, you pay a high interest rate for the first year. After that, they start to come back down. You can continually refi. My buddy Scott Ellis at Homeside Financial, ScottEllisTeam.com. That's ScottEllisTeam.com. Good guy. All you got to do is give him a call. 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. And if you got credit score issues, no problem. If you've got issues trying to kind of refinance your house, absolutely get a hold of him. When I was refinancing my house here, he was the guy that I went to. Got divorced, some things changed. I said, Scott, give me a hand, help me out here. He walked me through the process, and it was great, and it was simple, and it was easy, and it was done not once but twice. So I'm telling you, if you're looking for a good guy to go to, a guy that just he answers the phone, he answers your text, he's right back on it. That's our buddy Scott Ellis from Homeside Financial. Give him a call again, 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. Always available, and he'll get you the best rate possible. And when it's time to refi, he'll also get you done that way as well. That's our buddy Scott Ellis and Homeside Financial. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This December, it's a cash avalanche at Potawatomi. Saturdays, you could get buried in up to 10 grand cash. Plus, all the unclaimed prizes snowball into a huge cash jackpot at the end of the month. Just play with your club card for a chance to win. Sure, presents are nice, but nothing beats cold, hard cash. Only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More info at paysbig.com/coldcash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, we know Santa needs help, right? Hard times, hard economy. Santa even needs a little more jingle in his pocket. And they got a gift offer you can unwrap right now. Buy now, pay later. That's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They're going to replace your leaky windows, your doors, all kinds of good stuff, just like I did. No money down, no payments, no interest, 12 months. 12 months, and that's more jingle in your pocket. So you can get the new windows and doors right now and not have to worry about paying anything. It's not a bad way to go. Keep it in your pocket until after next holiday season. Yes, at the end of 2023. Pella's elves, as they say, install year-round. Don't worry about it. They seal off the room. You don't have to worry about all the cold leaking in and the heat leaking out. They seal off the room that they're working in, no problem. And you can make it your New Year's resolution. Right now, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, nobody down, no payments, no interest, 12 months, but you got to hurry. Got to hurry. Pella's rated number 1, by the way. Highest value, highest quality, most preferred by Milwaukee, Green Bay area homeowners right here, right now. Madison. Oh, yeah. From luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl, they got it all. Schedule your free, F-R-E-E, free consultation today. That's right. Go to PellaWI.com. That is Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Get a hold of our friends over at Pella Windows and Doors right here, right now. Good stuff. Want to get and talk to you. 877-867-1670. Let's get to the phone calls. Let's go to Patty listening to us in Shawano. Patty, how you doing? What's up?
Hey, Bill. Good to talk to you. I've kind of felt like after that last playoff game, pretty much the wheels had fallen off for that version of the Packers, and it was time to move on from Rodgers and some of these older players that have been great players for us. But how do you get new leadership if you have Aaron Rodgers calling the shots with coaching, with GM, and all that kind of stuff? And I appreciate what the Badgers did, just cleaning house, and like we need to turn the page and try something fresh. So I'll hang up and listen to your answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, Patty, I appreciate it. Well, here's the thing about the Badgers. They're not blowing it up. We had this discussion yesterday with Tom Oates. They're not blowing it up. What they're doing is trying to accentuate what it is they have and make it better. You're not getting rid of everybody. You're not, certainly Luke Fickell has this reign now over the Badger football program, hopefully for successful wise for a long, long, long time. And I believe he will be, but you're not blowing it up. What you're doing is trying to expand it and make it better. With the Packers, it's just different because college is so different than pro. I agree with you. Last year felt like a complete kick to the gut. And I thought that was the beginning of the end of Matt LaFleur. I thought that. I didn't talk about it out loud because people think you're crazy. But when we saw all season long the problems in special teams, I mean all season long, and they keep talking about being positive and we're working on it. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that they ignored it. But philosophically speaking, when you have the same voice in Mo Drayton over and over and over and over again, saying the same thing with the exact same poor results, you can't do that anymore. And I know Matt tries to defend his guys almost to a fault. If you're a guy inside 1265, you know Matt LaFleur is never going to badmouth you. But then again, he's going to hang on to you like grim death. And if you are a really solid producer and you've got somebody that's inept alongside you, it's also very frustrating because I'm doing my job. You're only as good as what you can do. And if I'm doing my job and I'm excelling at it and I'm kicking ass and I'm doing extremely well, and yet the guy next to me is the reason we're losing games, yeah. Yep. Now, I thought at the time about the end of Matt LaFleur in the sense of, I remember the end of Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was denying a lot of things. No, that's not true. We'll look at the tape. There was so many cliches that we were starting to make fun of it. That was kind of it last year with the Mo Drayton thing. And then, you know what? Mo Drayton gets fired and they made a really good hire in Rich Bisaccia. And I thought, okay, maybe they just, they put money into it. They put the train back on the track, so to speak. Matt LaFleur is going to sit down with Aaron Rodgers. They're going to work on this offense. We know Devontae now isn't coming back. Here we go. And Aaron didn't want to come. He didn't want to be a part of it. Let Matt coach him up. Let Cobby coach him up. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Even if Rodgers would have come in early, you got to remember, Christian Watson didn't even see preseason or most of the workouts, only for the fact that he was rehabbing at the time. Samari Torrey, Romeo Dobbs, yeah. Sammy Watkins is a veteran, but it's turned out that he's not exactly a Mensa meeting leader. Cobb was there working hard, but Lazard's a guy. So, I'm okay. There was some optimism there. But then this, again, we're looking at a completely inept coach in Joe Barry. A defense that you expected to take a step further ahead. And if I'm Brian Gutekunst, this is now coming back at me going, did you pick up bad talent and depth, or is Joe Barry unbelievably inept? What is it? One of the two. It's one of the two because you're basically playing with a lot of the same guys. Or did you make a woeful mistake in getting rid of Zadarius Smith, who is excelled in Minnesota, and very much like he was in Green Bay, he's become that voice, that defensive team leader, the voice of that team. And if you read a lot of things and hear a lot of things coming out of Minnesota, he's reinvigorated these guys. They're not great, but they're playing their ass off. They're feeling good about themselves. You don't have any of that here. You don't see that. You don't see that level of enthusiasm. You don't see any of that going on. So either it's the talent or the coach. And I've got to think, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm saying I'm not going down because of this clown. And I'm not going to sit here and have Matt LaFleur badmouth the talent that I put on the field. Do players make plays? Absolutely. But the inspiration, the trickle-down effect, this reminds me a lot of when Mike McCarthy used to come out on the field with his team, and we always said, well, they weren't ready to play. They looked lethargic. They came out flat. We're hearing a lot of the same stuff. Only difference is Mike did it after 10 years. Matt's doing it after 4 or 5 years. The problem is they just gave Matt LaFleur an extension. So do you evaluate him on the coaching job he did this season, facing adversity and hanging on to a bad defensive coordinator? Or do you evaluate him because, well, we're paying the guy? Man, we don't have to pay 2 coaches. Do you evaluate him based on that? But you either think it's the talent, the coaching, or the front office. If it's the talent, then the front office has to answer for it. If it's the coaching, coaches need to be changed. And I was never a big fan. I was never a big fan of firing a coach mid-season. Never have been. Head coach specifically, but never been a big fan of getting rid of coordinators. And then it was kind of whispered into my ear that, hey, if you've got the same guy that's bad over and over and over and over and over for 17, 18 weeks, telling your guys this is the way you need to play, after a while it gets ingrained into you, and that makes it that much more difficult for the next guy to come in and say, no, we're not going to play this way. We're going to go all out. We're energized. We're flying to the football. We're going to play everything in front of us. Yes, but we're going to be aggressive. If you miss, you miss. I'd rather go down swinging than playing soft and playing back. No, we're going after it. We're going to bring blitzes, zero coverage, zero blitz. We're going to bring everything. We're going to unload. We want to be aggressive. But yet you're being told week after week after week, this is the way you do it. And as time goes on and it doesn't work, the erosion of respect between your players and leadership, when the players know it's not working, becomes more and more evident. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that now. So there's a lot of dynamic there to kind of chew on. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. But that's coming out of last year. Everything was set. Everything was set. You got the game you wanted. You got the team you wanted. You got the weather you wanted. You got them home field. It couldn't have lined up any more perfect for you had you ordered it and said, in a perfect scenario, what do we want? We want number one overall. We want a break. We get the break. We want to be at home. We get home. We want it to be cold. We got cold, but it's not too cold. Okay, it's not terrible. Okay, great. And, oh, by the way, we want snow. We want our weather, Packer weather, football weather. We got everything we wanted in that game. You couldn't have, as a Packers fan, you and I couldn't have sat here today the day before that game and said, if we had to pick out the perfect postseason scenario for a team coming from the West Coast into Green Bay, what would it be? And we would have ordered it up. That would have been it. That would have been the game. You got everything you wanted, and you sucked. Your offense couldn't move the football. You got punched in the face and didn't have an answer. And that's the mark, by the way, of a Matt LaFleur team. You get punched in the face, yeah, you're going to get a little bit of a flurry. You're going to play for some pride. But you don't have that tenacity where you come right back and punch them in the mouth. We have seen this team time and again in big moments fold like a cheap tent. And you saw it when Aaron Jones went down, coughing up the football in the game against Tampa Bay. You saw it again last year when they drove right down the field. The scripted plays worked. Everything was just flowing. The very next drive, they're going. Here we go. Mercedes Lewis coughs up the football, and you had zero answer after that. Zero. Your offensive line was getting its ass kicked, and you were too obstinate and stupid to make any changes because those are the starters. You have to keep them out there. Even though you're watching these guys on skates get pushed around and manhandled like kids playing on a high school playground, and yet you're playing with kindergartners. You didn't make any adjustment there. And Aaron Rodgers was running for his life. A.J. Dillon goes down. You don't have the 1-2 punch. They're beating you in the trenches. They're beating you up front. Didn't have it. So that's the mark now of a Matt LaFleur team, in my opinion. 877-867-1670. And, oh, by the way, what we had complained about all season long, and Mo Drayton and that craptastic special teams, they not only lost it, San Francisco's coaching staff bragged about it. Saying
positive Pete right now.
Right. Saying we saw we didn't think we could beat you via the offense versus our defense. We didn't think that. But what we thought was keep the game close because this special teams unit sucks. We see what you're doing. Oren Burks is your lineman. Come on, man. We're going to kick his ass. We're coming up the gut. We're going to bring it from every facet. We know what we can do against you. Look at that. That's pathetic. And they exploited it. And they bragged about it. 877-867-1670. Hit us up again. 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho. ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Sure, restricted show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. I got something I want to answer here when we come back here. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Skip-A-Buds. I know boating season is probably not the top of your thought process list right now, but I'll tell you this: if you got a boater in your family or a friend, and you're looking for a terrific gift idea, they have a lot of stuff in the showrooms at Skip-A-Buds. Or maybe you're thinking to yourself, what can I do for my family coming up for next year that I could say, you know what, this is what we're going to do. That might be it. Get a hold of our friends at Skip-A-Buds. Possibly look at a pontoon, sport boat, deck boat, fishing boat, cruiser, yacht, whatever it is, whatever your fancy, they got them. And the best part about it is now's the time that they really want to make deals because they don't want the inventory just sitting there. So get a hold of my buddy Todd. He's the general manager at the Skip-A-Buds in Pewaukee, where I mentioned it's yachts, pontoons, sport and deck boats, fishing boats. They've got the best, and they have new and used. 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200, and just stop in. And like I said, if you have a boating family, maybe you buy a few new things for the upcoming summer months for Christmas or gift cards or what have you. They got it all. That's our friends over there at Skip-A-Buds in Pewaukee. Before I get to the phones, I want to address this real quick because Lance hit me up over on Twitter and said, it's funny in your last segment, you talked about the coaches and how bad they are. You never said one word about how bad Brian Gutekunst is. Everyone saw how bad the receiving corps was. Maybe Brian Gutekunst sucks at his job. What faith do you have? Zilch. Fire him now. And Lance, first of all, I did talk about Gutekunst, but I look at it this way, and I went through player by player. Okay? Player by player. Do I think that they woefully misstepped when they did not bring in a quality wide receiver? Absolutely. Sammy Watkins was not the answer. He was cheap. They didn't want to push that extra chip to the middle of the table. They had $7.5 million under the salary cap. They didn't want to go any deeper into that. They didn't want to pay because for whatever reason, they were mad at Zadarius Smith for getting his own opinion. They held that against him. All of that. Now, the question is, could they have afforded these guys? It would have been tight, but you can do anything. It's how much talent do you want to acquire and how far down the road do you want to kick the can? Because you can do anything. So to say, do I think it's Brian Gutekunst? I think Gutekunst missed on a few things, absolutely. But do you feel that there's talent on this team? Dean Lowry? No. Kenny Clark? Yes. Jerron Reed? No. Placeholder. Preston Smith? I think he's talented. I don't think he's as good as some of the statistics he's put up, but you are what your record says you are. So you would say yes. Devondre Campbell? Yes. Quay Walker? If he ever learns to get off of an offensive lineman's block, he should be pretty good. But he's a rookie. And Igbari? He's filled in admirably. Rashawn Gary? Yes. Jair? Yes. Adrian Amos? I believe he's talented. He's more of a very quiet, reserved center fielder, you know? Rasul Douglas, he was there. He was in your system. He knows it. He excelled. I don't think I would have given him that big a contract, but he was certainly worthy of it for what he did here. I always thought Darnell Savage was a good player until he got hurt, and once he got hurt, he seems to lost his tenacity for hitting. Stokes played well last year. So I think there's talent here. I do. Do I think it's a whole list of all-pro talents? No, but I think it's a solid defense that should have been better. So if I believe there's talent here, why would I climb all over Gutekunst other than the misstep for the wide receiving corps? Why would I do that? Bakhtiari's come back and played well. It took him a while, but he did. Elton Jenkins, he's still coming back from that knee injury. He'll probably be much better next year. But you got two good running backs. I think we'd all agree upon that. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Where they've kind of neglected over the years is trying to find a pass-catching tight end. Robert Tonyan's good, but they didn't put money into him, so to speak. And Mercedes Lewis was a pickup from Jacksonville. Josiah DeGuara, a third-round draft choice. Tyler Davis. You know, Robert Tonyan was a coming out of college. He didn't even get drafted. He was an undrafted free agent. They picked him up. And he's for what you're paying him, he's filled the bill. But they need more. So to lay it all at Brian Gutekunst's feet and to fire him, I don't know if I'd go that far. But I'll say this. You've got a couple of drafts early on in your career where you hit on a couple of guys and the rest of the drafts were terrible. And the sustainability of this team has to be built on the draft and not spending a ton of money. But, you know, you got to fortify things while you got this quarterback. But, man, if that's going to be your track record moving forward, then you're right. He's not going to have a job very long. But I look at the inspirational side of things. I look at guys are getting paid to play. Guys are making money. Yes. But you got to have coaches that are, you know, who said it over on Twitter? You know, you got Vrabel being the man's man and coming out and challenging his team to be better and hit harder. And you got Matt LaFleur, who in a win or a loss, he's crying at the podium and flubbing over his own words and trying to blame the media for asking a question. And it's drastically two different styles. I agree with that. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Nick listening to us in Eau Claire. Nick, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Good today. What's on your mind?
Well, you just made that comment about Packer weather and like in the playing in the cold.
Yeah.
And I feel like Rodgers has just looked very uncomfortable in the playoffs last year. He just looked cold and uncomfortable. I think it was the Titans game too that he just looked uncomfortable in the cold. And you know you want that kind of football in Wisconsin, but he just looked uncomfortable out there.
Yep. No, I agree. Remember the end of Favre's career. Favre looked like he was miserable coming out in the cold. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's just the old age catching up with them or what, but
I don't know what it is, but I think, and I appreciate the phone call. I think you're right, though. The older you get, the more you dislike this, the harsh climate, so to speak. I will agree with that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Tim listening to us in La Crosse. Tim, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Yep. A lot of good points from you and the listeners, you know, and there's validity in a lot of it. But one thing stands out to me, I think, is the elephant in the room. And I've been feeling this way for quite some time. And I think it's just the two voices, LaFleur's and Rodgers. And, you know, even when you're managing, you have to manage a strong voice in your organization. It's hard. And unless you're in solid step with one another, 100%, it's hard. It's hard to manage that. And there's a weight I see on LaFleur's shoulders because of it. And Rodgers, he stated his case over a year ago, and then he come back into the fold. But still, he's not 100% in step. And out in the field, those pained looks, the pressure he's putting on players, I think I just feel like removing that second voice. He'll be 40 next year. I think he lightened the load on the coach. He lightened the load. I just noticed the enthusiasm with that offensive line and those players when Love was on the field. There was a change in enthusiasm on the field, and they're patting each other on the back, and they're congratulating the quarterback, and I just see it. Let's just reload, move on. He's going to be 40 next year. Get what you can, do what you can, and let's turn the page. That's my feeling.
All right, Tim, appreciate it, man. That's Tim listening to us in La Crosse. If they do it, it's got to be after June 1st. You got to spread that cap hit then out over a couple of years. And then you got to find a team that is able to take on the salary that he has, that wants to take on the salary that he has, that is in the AFC, that's in position to kind of help themselves. It's going to the Pickens over there. It looks like it's the Jets and maybe everybody else, but there's not a lot of teams that are going to be in the mix for that. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Quick Trip. Now, stop in a Quick Trip just like I've done. You walk in, you just yesterday at the pump, type in your Quick Rewards number, and you start pumping gas. You are then automatically registered for the Packers opening drive contest. So when you hear Wayne Larrabee say, the opening drive brought to you by Quick Trip, and today we're going for Joe Smith. If you're Joe Smith, who knows? You could be the only one of Joe Smith that's out there. And for every yard garner on the opening drive for the Green Bay Packers, you are getting paid. Paid. Not a bad way to go. Our friends at Quick Trip giving out some gauge for gasoline, for Quick Trip gift cards. Good stuff. And if they score, oh my goodness, you get an extra $500. Go to Quick Trip. Not only are they a great locally based company, but they're also paying you back just for being a loyal customer, giving you a shot at it. Why not, right? Go to Quick Trip. Use your Quick Rewards card, and you're good to go. That's from our good friends at Quick Trip.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers worked out inside the Hudson Center, reviewing the game plan against the Bears Sunday. There's excitement the Packers could get rookie receiver Romeo Doubs back. He practiced for the first time since suffering a high ankle sprain against the Lions a month ago. Doubs asked if he could play this Sunday.
Right now, it's real questionable. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll leave that up to medical staff or whatnot. But, I feel great coming out today. Expected to feel real good coming out again tomorrow.
Aaron Rodgers did not practice, but insists he'll play despite some sore ribs and a fractured thumb. Why does he want to face the Bears?
Pride, for one, love of the game. They're paying me to play. A lot of different issues, but I'd love to compete and want to be out there with my guys.
I asked Matt LaFleur about Rodgers insisting he'll be ready.
Well, it just speaks to how competitive he is and how much he's invested into this game, this team, and regardless of circumstances. And that's what we kind of talk about our team all the time is competitive greatness, being your best when your best is required, regardless of the circumstance. That's one thing you can always expect from him.
Last year when the Packers beat the Bears 24-14, Aaron Rodgers yelled, "I own you" to the fans in the stands. Do the Bears want a rematch? Tight end and Chicago native Cole Kmet.
Yeah, let's bring it on. Why wouldn't you? He's the staple of their franchise, and to get opportunity to go beat him, it would always be a good feeling. So yeah, I would like to see Aaron out there for sure.
That's Bears tight end Cole Kmet. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Ma, the meatloaf, it's so good. They've got Bucks, they've got Admirals tickets to give away tonight. The fun starts 7:30. Where am I talking about? Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill on Pewaukee Lake. It's trivia night tonight. They got Bucks tickets, Admirals tickets. Kurt's going to be there testing the knowledge this evening. They've got all kinds of specials coming up tonight, and you can swing by and say hi. That's our buddy Ryan Gardner and the whole gang out there at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill on Pewaukee Lake. Oh, it sounds like I blew something out there, doesn't it?
I forget why you did that, frankly.
After a certain point, you have to wonder if, when you get done doing it, you got to check your pants, I guess, right? Just to see.
I got to go take something.
If you need to change. Oh, my goodness.
Don't wear good underwear because there could be some seepage and stuff.
You got a whole bank of stuff on me, don't you? Just a whole library of ineptitude. Yeah.
What else am I supposed to do during the day?
Just,
dropping
knowledge.
What? Go audit every Matt LaFleur press conference? 'Cause I already do that.
God.
Not as much comes from them.
If I die, Ben, you can be in charge of the audio for the funeral and just say, I can see you standing at the podium, you and Evo and the gang, and just saying, let's take a look back and a listen to some of the deep philosophical things Bill Michaels had to say. And then you just
Ben, I peed myself.
The thing is, I think I could even do at least an hour of radio by only playing these clips.
Oh my God.
They form sentences.
You can just drop it. Just go with it. Play a little Enter Sandman on the way out of the church. Call it a day.
This one's called 90th Birthday.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's been some pearls of wisdom that have come out of this program, I'm sure, over the last couple of years. So there you go. Oof. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill?
Curly's Waterfront Pub.
My bad.
Oh, no, they're paying for it. That's okay. My God. Oh, goodness. Okay. On that one, following that up, an email from Hoggett. Why you would call yourself that, I don't know. But Hoggett says
he has his hose out.
Hoggett says, Matt LaFleur does not make me want to listen to his press conferences. I can only imagine what it's like inside a locker room rah-rah meeting, trying to get guys fired up when he keeps saying, I'm going to go back and look at the tape and I'll let you know. And then he begins to tear up. Hoggett says, How does he inspire you to go out and run through a wall? You know, the whole crying thing, you know, Ron Rivera cried. He got praised for it, for being an emotional guy and a leader of men. Matt LaFleur cried. Now, there's certain times, too, I get it, over an emotional victory or whatever when you challenge your guys, but there's a difference between crying. Right, Vrabel did it. There's a difference between crying an emotional win and putting all your heart and soul into something, and it's perception being you're crying because you're trying to hang on to your job and you think it's coming to an end. I guess that's the difference. But Mike Vrabel did it. Yeah, you're right. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is on the practice field today after sitting out yesterday's session due to his thumb and rib injuries. Rodgers was initially concerned last Sunday about organ damage when he got hurt against Philadelphia, but scans showed no damage, and he now will play this week against Chicago. As for the rest of the season, that remains to be seen. Packers 4-8, still mathematically alive for a playoff spot. Another loss, though, would almost certainly end their chances, and then the team has to think about playing Jordan Love over a banged-up Rodgers. It's something the quarterback understands.
You know, there's a lot of us kind of older guys who, you know, play a decent amount, who they might want to see some younger guys play. So, you know, hopefully we don't have to have that conversation. But if that conversation comes up, you know, I'll approach that with an open mind and, you know, without any bitterness or resentment. You know, obviously, like I said, I want to win out, and we don't have to have those conversations. But I understand if we don't, that's a possibility to have that conversation.
Rodgers and the Packers going to face the Bears on Sunday. Kick is at noon. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to find out their bowl destination this Sunday. Should also know by then who will actually be coaching that game. New coach Luke Fickell said Monday he was still working through that with interim coach Jim Leonard.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucks have won 3 straight games. That's after a 109-103 win in New York last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 37 points before fouling out late. Grayson Allen, big three-pointer with 30 seconds left to give Milwaukee a lead. They will now head back home to face the Lakers tomorrow night. Chris Middleton expected to make his season debut. And Wisconsin and Marquette going to meet Saturday in Milwaukee. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Perrin.
Good day. Welcome back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Coming up this month, Santa could be nice to you. A lot of winnings to get. Go to paysbig.com. Paysbig.com. Maybe make a stay. Make a night of it. Go down there and hang out. Look out over the city and the hotel. Some of the lights. Nice. Nice. Go to paysbig.com. That's paysbig.com. Make your reservations and get your game on today. Mark says, by the way, Bill Belichick, he's got 6 rings. He doesn't cry. You're right. When's the last time you saw Bill Belichick cry? Now, everybody's got a different emotional tenor. Okay? I get emotional. I think we all do. I don't, you know, if a guy is... If he's got his heart and soul into it and he drops some tears, I don't have a problem with it. Pac fan says, yeah, Belichick is a robot. He doesn't count. Yeah, he's kind of like, you know, he's something out of the future. You know, he's not real. I think if you rip his face off, it's just all electronics. Remember, he disguised himself as his dog during COVID for the draft. Belichick's not real. I could see Belichick doing a speech. You know, guys, really good effort today. I'm getting weepy up here. Nice effort. Nice job. Give me a second. There you go. Nice win. Good effort. I'm proud of you. You guys did really well. I'm going to give the game ball to Bailey Zappi just because his name's Bailey Zappi, and I'm about to weep openly. So I'm going to stop this. Hold on. There you go. I'm done weeping. So that's going to be it. I appreciate it, and we'll see you at practice on Wednesday.
Damn, you're going to put me to sleep,
right? That's Bill Belichick. You got to run outside to slam an appendage in a car door just to be able to wake yourself up after one of his pressers. Bill, you just won a Super Bowl. I feel great. Feel great. Feel great. My wife's pretty hot. I got a dog. Going home. That's it.
So you should see my car doors after LaFleur press conferences.
Oh, I can only imagine. Looks like golf balls have been hitting you for weeks. Yeah, I can only imagine. Dwayne, oh my God, Dwayne, you're killing me. Says he wonders if Bill Belichick's ever had a bag of Funyuns. You got another joke. Nothing says fun like Funyuns. Oh my goodness, you're killing me. Oh, I got it. By the way, Deshaun Watson had his presser today. I don't know if anybody saw that. They carried it live, the entire length of it. They're in Berea, Ohio, up near Cleveland, and near Cuyahoga County. And Deshaun Watson refused to talk about anything off the field today. It was only about on field and coming back, and that was it. It's been 700 days since he's played football. 700 days. You wonder how he's going to be this weekend. What else do we have here for you? Frank says, hey, Unit, to answer your question, where do I put the blame? I put it on Matt LaFleur. He knows his defensive coordinator is bad and yet refuses to acknowledge it and actually shames reporters for asking the question. That is lame. That's from Frank. Frank, appreciate the email. Appreciate it. Hey, coming up at the bottom of the hour, by the way, we're going to get into our NFL picks, and we'll start looking at our pick. We did it last night, but we'll start looking at our picks against the spread today. Ben, you got an update as to how we're doing? Did I think I took it in the shorts over the weekend last week.
You went 1-1-1, like the average picker that you are. You're now 17-17-2. So congratulations.
Oh, that sucks. 17-17-2. That sucks.
I'm exactly 2 games behind, 15-19-2.
Which means I need some sure things this weekend.
Because those definitely exist.
Yeah, right? Not right now, they don't. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Give us a shout. And if you want to hit us up over on Twitter, you can do so. Find us there at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, at Ben Z. Kenny. Got some emails to get to as well. Our buddy Steve says, when you ask the question if it's the players or the coaches, he says, my answer is yes. They're both responsible, but you need to add the general manager in there as well. We all know that the third round drafting prowess of this team is awful, but the loss of Zadarius Smith is also huge. As you mentioned, he was a leader on the defense, and the Packers are missing that, which in my mind falls directly in Goody's lap. At the end of the year, Mark Murphy will need to look at the overall situation, Goody included. Joe Barry should be fired as they walk off the field after the Detroit game, and LaFleur is going to be on double secret probation. The coaching staff lies directly on LaFleur's shoulders, and he'd be committing career suicide if he retains Joe Barry. In my opinion, nobody is safe after this season is done. Lastly, I haven't heard if Rashawn Gary's surgery was a success or not. Do you have any insight? That's our buddy Stephen Richfield. I don't. Maybe when we check in with Mike tomorrow, but I have not heard word one about Rashawn Gary's. I mean, they always come out and say, the surgery was a success, but do they give us the details? No. They don't usually do that. Dennis in the email inbox says the cause of the Packers' collapse this season is very simple if you look closely. And that's the Packers have an offensive coordinator pretending to be a head coach. If you understand the hierarchy and its rules in business, you know what I mean. Before LaFleur came to Green Bay, he was an offensive coordinator, a tier below the head coach. He had no responsibility to hire, discipline, or fire coaches. He and his fellow coaches could become close friends, never having to discipline one another. That job was the responsibility of the evil head coach, and they could all joke about it. And as we've seen from LaFleur since he was hired, he's done a very good job of the basic duties as a head coach. We've also seen that he's never wanted to and avoided or simply just incapable of being the disciplinarian to his coaching staff. He promoted his totally unqualified friend Mo Drayton to special teams coordinator, which was a complete failure because LaFleur saw him more as a friend versus a subordinate. He couldn't bring himself to fire him mid-season. He fired his friend eventually, he hired his friend eventually, the total incompetent Joe Barry as his defensive coordinator. Another complete failure. LaFleur, with his offensive coordinator mindset, can't bring himself to fire coaches in season. The team, especially the players on defense, are tired of LaFleur blaming them in public while protecting his inept coaching friends. The players' morale is down, so is their effort. If their head coach won't fire them, they aren't willing to fight for them and risk injury for these guys. Until Mark Murphy or somebody explains the importance of following rules and responsibilities of the hierarchy, LaFleur and his team will continue to fail. The team has plenty of talent, but it has an imposter as a head coach. Will LaFleur ever step up to be an actual head coach and disciplinarian that this team needs? ? That's from Dennis. Damn. And, oh, by the way, one last parting shot on that. Paul says, and you are right, didn't Bart Starr regret hiring his friends on his coaching staff? You are correct. Bart did. He did, because it was, while it was a lot of good brain trust in the room, it was kind of a free-for-all, so to speak, when it came to the ability to manage. You are correct. Good stuff today. People are just on their game. I don't totally agree with Matt LaFleur has the inability to hire and such, but I'll tell you this. First of all, the coaching ranks, it's an incestuous business. It just is. You can't avoid it. You're going to hire somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's in the business. It just is. But the grasp of head coach and staff, you can look at guys and say that guy's completely in control. Andy Reid, completely in control. Bill Belichick, completely in control. Mike Vrabel, completely in control. You can look at some of these coaches and go, Mike Tomlin, he's struggling, but completely in control. I like him. Like him a lot as a head coach. A lot of these guys you can look at and go, boy, they don't have control. They don't have control of their staff. They don't appear to be, I don't want to say feared, but there's this level of fear/respect and vice versa. Yeah. Lindy Infante was too loyal. You're right. It appears that more Rodgers has control than LaFleur. So yeah.
Or Rodgers was given that control along with the money.
Right. Well, that see, Matt LaFleur kind of got put behind the eight ball because when he came in, the number one thing he had to do was not necessarily install a new playbook, but it was massage the ego of Aaron Rodgers. That's what it was all about. I mean, remember, they had to call Aaron to tell Aaron, we're hiring this guy. Can you call him? And it was a conversation between those two guys that they had to get on the same page. Now, people criticize that, but don't forget, in the realm of the NBA, that's exactly what the Bucks did when they hired Coach Budenholzer. Is before they made the announcement, they sat him down with who? Giannis and Chris Middleton. Those two guys had to give the thumbs up. So they had to get on the same page because in some way you want want your guy to take ownership. Rodgers calls him up, say, hey, Aaron, we're going to hire this guy. Give us your thoughts. And Aaron's like, yeah, okay, it's good. So you have an invested interest because you're the guy that also okayed this guy. So if he fails, it's because your word also failed. So you have a little bit of ownership of this. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. That's he was kind of put behind the 8 ball because of that situation, and then everything became exacerbated after the fact. I agree with that. Again, coming up bottom of the hour, we're going to get into our picks coming up. Tonight's contest on the docket. You got the Bills on the road taking on the Patriots. That's going to be a good one. Both teams need it. You got the Bills coming up tonight, who are trying to climb back towards the top spot in the division. In the meantime, you've got the Patriots. They're hanging on. They're trying to remain in the hunt for the postseason. Right now in the East, the Bills are tied with the Dolphins for the top spot out of the AFC, in the AFC East, I should say. And you've got the New England Patriots at 6-5. They are still in the hunt as of right now. They're the 8th seed if the season were to end today. The 8th seed, they get a win. They're up there with the Jets. They're up there with Cincinnati. Because right now, Buffalo is the 5th seed. The 5th seed overall. And trying to knock Miami out of that top spot, because Miami's got they get the tiebreaker over Buffalo on the head-to-head win percentage right now. So Miami's the top dog. Meanwhile, Buffalo's a wild card. Cincinnati's a wild card. The Jets would be the wild card, and New England's right there on the outside looking in. So it's a big one tonight. Big one tonight for both of these teams. 877-867-1670. Hit us up again. 877-867-1670. Give us a buzz. We're going to get back at it. We'll get to the phone calls and such when we come back to this portion of the program. Brought to you by our good friends at New Male Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders. Christmas time is near, and if you don't have the appropriate Yule log, wink, wink, then you need to give our friends at New Male Medical a call. 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. They can help you out. How about the cakes, cookies, pies, and such? And it's all starting to go to the midsection, and you would like to lose a little weight. Going into 2023, why not a new you through New Mail? 414-455-4451. Or maybe you just want to feel better. Not so moody, not so up and down. Get some energy back. Could be low T treatments. If you're over the age of 30, it takes you 10 minutes. Can't do anything if you don't call. 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. That's the New Male Medical Center.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. It's holiday season. You know what that means? We're drinking. Get your drink on. Friends at Forgotten Fire Winery reminding you that if you're going to go to that holiday party, the gathering, the family, whatever it happens to be, don't come empty-handed. Show up with something from Wisconsin, from right here in our own backyard. That's our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. Look for it by name in your liquor stores, grocery stores, wine stores. Forgotten Fire Winery. And if you're in Peshtigo near the winery, stop in for a tasting and you can figure out which one it is you like the best. Pick up a couple of bottles right then and there. Drop our name when you go in. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. Let's go to our buddy Jason in Green Bay. Jason, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Not much, man. I'd like to say, first time caller here, I really enjoyed listening to you. I wish I'd put you on the FM side because not many people in this area like Jim Rome. But anyway, I want to, a lot of people are going to completely disagree with me on this, including yourself, and I understand why. But honestly, I think Matt LaFleur needs to be fired for not firing Joe Barry after that atrocious defensive team. It's not been good, never has. And, bringing in, even if he did fire Joe Barry, how many good defensive coordinators are going to want to come play underneath Matt LaFleur? And the reason why I say that is because look at it at a head coach that is sitting on the sideline and their star player, Aaron Rodgers, is walking off the field, screaming at him, saying, what in the F are we doing? What are we doing out here? To me, that tells me that he's lost the team. He doesn't have the cojones to do what he needs to do to make the proper decisions. And I know if I was a good defensive coordinator and I saw that, I wouldn't want to go there because that tells me there's a bad vibe going in Green Bay. I'm going to hang up and listen to you guys.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Now coaches have gotten into it with players before. They've had, tete-a-tetes on the sideline of disagreements or what have you. Usually when that happens, there is an erosion of respect. Let me put it this way. How many times have you yelled at your boss? Now, it's hard for us to put ourselves in the same realm as star players making $20 million a year because you just feel yourself differently, But how many of us have, even if we've been really successful at what it is we do, how many of us have ever yelled at our boss? In the heat of the moment, maybe. It's like, come on, do this, damn it, I can't, you got to understand, and then you sit down and talk about it. Okay. It happens. It happens. It just doesn't happen very much. Doesn't happen very often. I'm not saying it's a common occurrence, and I'm not saying it's a detrimental look. It's just not a good look. It's not a good look when the player appears to be yelling at the coach and not vice versa. Now, I still know, I go back to the day when Mike Sherman was yelling at Brett Favre. And Brett Favre turned to him and kind of smiled, like, what are you going to do about it? And that's exactly what he said to him. What are you going to do about it? And Mike Sherman knew right then and there. He was snipped. He's done. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, and tell me any coach that's ever been yelled at that hasn't gotten right back into the player's face maybe not screaming, but came right up to them and had that man-to-man conversation after that when things don't seem to be eroding and starting to run amok. That's a good point. It's a good point. Let's go to our buddy Gerard listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, what's going on today, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill, that was an excellent point. Look, about Bart Starr, I'm not going to get into it. I knew him, but I'm going to say this. He said to me when I snowed him one day, and I said, well, you were a pretty good coach. And he says, no, I wasn't. He says, I wasn't prepared or ready to be a head coach. And then him and Dan Devine together ruined the Packers for years because Bart Starr made a lot of terrible moves. He's my idol now.
Mm-hmm.
But he made a lot of including Ted Hendricks when he didn't re-sign him, and then he went to the Raiders. And even though Green Bay got compensation for him, they should have kept him. He had actually his best year probably of his career with Green Bay that year before he left. But anyway, Bill, what LaFleur and Rodgers, do you feel either they both would go or both would stay? Because I don't think they would get rid of LaFleur and bring in another head coach with Rodgers at this point. And that's what I was thinking. So either in my opinion, I would say they both go or they both stay. And I would lean towards they both go.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying, Bill?
Right.
Do you get it? I don't think they. LaFleur is the other guy who made a great point was he's a coordinator wanting to be a head coach. Okay. Well, he's not. He doesn't have the command of men, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He has the brains, but he doesn't have that missing thing that makes you a great head coach. And I think that's what's missing with the Packers.
Right.
So that's what I think. So in your opinion, that's what I would like to know. And do you believe that, what I'm saying, that it would either be both or none?
I really think that if they were going to make a change, it would probably be to trade Rodgers rather than get rid of Matt LaFleur at this point. That's just my thought.
Right.
I would think that, first of all, I think Matt LaFleur is safe. As much as I've said today, I think Matt LaFleur is going to get a shot at correcting this. Unless they just see something that's so completely inept behind closed doors that he's lost the team, then you have to make a change. But if you believe that Rodgers is still on the same page with him and you can run this thing back, then they're going to give him every opportunity to run it back. But I make no mistake about it. There's no way in hell, no way that you can keep the coaching staff the same as what it is, specifically starting with Joe Barry. You got to get rid of Joe Barry. Period. End of story.
Okay, so if they do,
yeah.
If they can't, let's say for argument's sake, if they keep Joe Barry, what do we do? You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
what do we do?
If they,
what do we do?
Then good God, if they keep Joe Barry, I can only imagine that Packers fans will grab, flaming pitchforks and such and start to storm the Bastille because there's no way you could. There's just no way. You can't be that stupid.
Right. But one thing that's important. I haven't read all these media guys in Green Bay and all that stuff. I see them sometimes on their Twitter stuff, but how are they writing about Barry? How are they doing it? Because it's basically the fans and the media that run people out of town, right?
Yeah. It was, I look at it as everybody now knows. I mean, the fans, the media specifically, nationally, locally, are now questioning Matt LaFleur, like, how can this be this bad? And when the media is saying it, I'm sure Matt LaFleur is getting it inside 1265, but we're all looking at this going, you can't allow this to continue. This is bad. This is his historically bad numbers. When you're talking 22 missed tackles, the sheer your coaching is becoming into question now. It's not just about putting the right guy in the right place at the right time. This is about, does your team even practice this? You are so fundamentally bad. And if you're not fundamentally bad, then your guys are slow-stepped. And if they're slow-stepped, is it because they don't want to play? They're not that good? And there's no way Gutekunst is going to go, no, the players suck. Because he's going to say, no, I put good talent on the field. This guy is basically taking away their will to succeed, which means they're slow of foot, which means instead of hitting a guy with your shoulder, you're grabbing a guy 2 yards away from you, which gives them the ability to break tackle. I look at it as there's no way you can continue this particular path, down this path with Joe Barry. You just can't do it. Otherwise, you're completely rewarding ineptitude. And then what is your message? You know?
Message is right now, we missed 22 tackles. Now, we've been seeing this all year, okay? So he already comes out with this number, and yet, and he's saying basically it's Barry's fault. Totally Barry's fault. Or what? What is he saying then? He's blaming he's not calling out his players, right?
Right.
So whose fault is he saying? It's Barry's fault. So then why, like you said, they're not going to fire a guy during the year, which they should because other teams do it. Why not the Packers? See, in my opinion, Bill, and this is a big thing I've always felt, the Packers always got to go the extra mile to make themselves look good and everything, because they always felt that they're a small market and no player really wants to come there. And so they always have to do this snow job and all this other stuff and make sure they cross their T's and all this other stuff. So they have to give this example. Look, here's another reason to come to Green Bay. Or they always have this fear factor, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
It really is. And with the money today, it shouldn't be that way. But a lot of people still. Now, what do you think Zandarius Smith is saying about the Packers organization? You think he's saying all of his friends saying that they're great, you know, their organization is very good and all this, you know, and this guy Abrams, who they just cut. I would love to interview him and say, what happened? What's happening there?
No, I would agree. I appreciate the phone call because we got to run here. But I would say this, that I look at it as what they are saying about, and I also want to address something over here on the Bud Light live stream as well. What it says to me is that with Matt LaFleur, he's trying to appease everybody. He's trying not to throw his players under the bus. He's trying not to throw his coaches under the bus. But then he'll point at the players. We just got to make plays. We got to be in the right place at the right time. Coaches got to coach better. He's kind of throwing everybody into the pot. He's talked about himself. You notice he never mentions a player by name, whether it's Rodgers or anybody else. Yeah, we had some turnovers. No, you had 2 errant passes by the quarterback. That's the turnovers. It wasn't like guys are out there dropping the ball or guys are, fumbling it all over the place. No, it was 2 bad passes. One that got batted up into the air, right? I think that this, I still, the season is the season. But when it comes to the offseason, I really believe there's going to be probably 1, 2, maybe 3 coaching changes, starting with the firing of Joe Barry. And then they're going to have this vast search for a new defensive coordinator with a new tenacity, an energy, a machismo that's going to come in and really try to energize that defense. And that way, Matt LaFleur doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He can just go on with the offense and get back on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. But I also firmly believe that this coming season, this has to be like Rodgers has to say, I'm back, I'm in, I'm ready to go. And it's OTAs, it's mini camps, it's being that leader, it's being that guy. You can't just say I'm going to play and then, oh, by the way, in the offseason, I'm not going to put that work in. I'm going to go off with my own trainer in LA and I'm going to lay on a beach and I'm going to run up and down hills. I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it away from you. I think we're all in it together. Let's do this. Let's make another run at it. And then it's kind of reinvigorating, re-empowering the head coach. You bring in a new defensive coordinator. He brings a different energy, a different thought, a different level, a different want to, a different machismo. And then things begin to get back on the right track because you're also going to be doing it with different player personnel. Got to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy?
Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
barbecue lover in your life and support a local business. That's our friends at Burn Pit BBQ. BurnPitBBQ.com. They have the gift boxes right now. So you get the sauce you want, maybe a rub, some hot sauces. You can combine it, put it all together, you can order it. They'll ship it out right away, get it to you, wrap it up. You can wrap it up, make it look real nice. Good stuff from our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. BurnPitBBQ.com. Veteran-owned and right here in the state of Wisconsin. Seamless family. Again, BurnPitBBQ.com. That is BurnPitBBQ.com. All right, time to make some NFL picks that, in my opinion, at this point in time, are pretty sure to go wrong. I don't know where to start. I'm really iffy about a lot of these games. But if I got to go in one direction, I'm going to start in Detroit. Jacksonville coming in as a 1-point favorite to Ford Field. Now, we watched the Lions go toe-to-toe with the Bills. Jacksonville, however, coming off of an emotional high after they got a win over the Ravens, 28-27 last week, and they feel like they've got something going on. In the meantime, the Lions, they went toe-to-toe with the Buffalo Bills, one of the best teams in the AFC as well. They came up just a little bit short. But Jacksonville giving a point at this one to the Lions, who are at home. I'm going to take the Lions to win. I'm going to take the Lions to win this one. Ben Kenny?
I am taking the Jaguars. It's my bet of the week.
Yeah?
It might be my game of the year pick. 100%. The guy, as I've said, their point differential has not been one of a 7-loss bad team. They're good. They just haven't been able to win close games yet. They've been losing them. Now we saw that turn with the Ravens game. I think that continues. And no better team, Bill, we know, is better at losing close games than the Lions. So I think it plays perfectly into Doug Peterson's hands. I will take my Jaguars.
There you go. So he's got the Jaguars. I have the Lions. Meanwhile, you've got the Minnesota Vikings, a hard-fought victory over the Patriots. But coming in, you've got the Jets. The Jets looked like world beaters last week. Now, whether that's a one-hit wonder, we'll have to wait and see. But Minnesota at home, they're given 3. I don't know if I can take that. Minnesota, though, 5-1 at home. 5-1 at home. It's making me a little leery because we saw what the Jets front four can do against an offense, but I think the Vikings just have too much. I think the Vikings cover and the Vikings get the win at home. They go to 10-2 on the season. I had to think about this because the Jets are 4-1 on the road. They went into Lambeau Field, got a win. The Jets have been pretty good this season when it comes to going on the road. So their only road loss came at the hands of the Patriots. And they just beat the hell out of a bad Chicago Bears team. I'm going to take the Vikings at home, though.
You sound so confident.
I don't have any confidence at all in this pick, but I flip-flop from that last night, if you noticed.
Yes, I have. You're like Corso, who at the end, he's doing his game day headgear pick, and he leads people the wrong way first.
Yeah.
But this is just you trying to talk yourself in one direction.
Yeah,
which
it is.
It is what it is.
Yep.
If I was smart, I might take the Jets, but I'm not. I said last night I think the Titans beat the Eagles this weekend, so I'm going to take them +5. Or even if the Eagles win, I don't see it being a blowout. The Titans keep it tough. They'll get you into a phone booth and knock you around.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eagles' injuries still definitely hurting them in the secondary at tight end. I think the Titans can keep it close at least, and then I think they win.
Last but not least, this one is somewhat of a no-brainer. I know they got that emotional first victory for Jeff Saturday, but the Colts went back to being who they are. They're going to get killed down in Dallas. I think the Cowboys are just going to plow through them. Cowboys 10.5-point favorites. I'm picking the Cowboys to win and to cover. That's it.
I don't know. I don't like those big numbers, but it appears you're fine with them.
Yeah.
I'll close with the Las Vegas Raiders. Bill, Pac-12 title game Friday night, Las Vegas. It's a sold-out building. It's going to be a great one. Utah, USC. You got Caleb Williams, Heisman contender on one side. You got a Utah team that beat them by 1 on a 2-point conversion in the regular season on the other side. College football playoff berth on the line. All those good things. That's happening in Las Vegas. And then a very weirdly matched football game will happen on Sunday but I'll take the Raiders plus 1.5 there.
I thought it was an even game. I thought it was the over and under is 50.5, and I thought it was now down to the line is at even on that.
Oh, well, that sucks. It was 1.5 yesterday.
I think it's even.
Whatever. I'll take the Raiders, excuse me, even.
Taking the Raiders at home. Okay. The Raiders 2-2 at home. The Chargers 4-2 on the road. 6-5 overall. They've been more successful on the road than they have at SoFi, because clearly SoFi is not a home field advantage for them by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but you got to think the people of Vegas are fired up for the Pac-12 title, so they'll show out on Sunday.
No, they'll be hungover.
That's for Saturday, Bill. It's a Friday night game. What is there to do in Vegas anyway, except for watch football, right?
Yeah, the Bunny Ranch empties out and everybody goes to the game. There you go. So I got the Cowboys getting the win and winning outright. I got the Vikings getting the win, and then obviously the first one I have the Lions at home getting the win. I'm going with the home teams this week. Normally I don't. Normally I try to pick some of those road number upsets.
Road favorites.
Yeah, and well, you know what? I'm right back to even. I'm still, even record. So you're right. It could be like almost a coin flip, but what is it in Vegas? If you go 60% wins, you're winning money. You're winning
56%.
Okay.
Because of the juice on either side.
So I go 3 for 3 this week and I'm right back in it. I'm right back to doing well. I'm not sub 500. So,
Oh yeah, I am. But I've been very outward that my NFL picks are not that great. I will say, Bill, my real pick of the weekend, Kansas State's going to beat TCU on Saturday.
You think so?
Oh yeah. They should not be underdogs in this game.
Okay. So you got USC and Utah. So give me your thoughts on USC and Utah. Is USC just by far the better team? I mean, I think they are, but USC has been beaten by Utah already this year.
3-sentence summary. USC's turnover differential is insane, and it's not something they'll replicate forever. They do have the Heisman, Caleb Williams, and he makes all the difference in the world. Utah, they put up a lot of points on USC, and they would like to probably play a lower scoring game. Like, I would pick USC if they hadn't had like a 35 plus turnover differential, and that's what leads them to win games. So I think it's going to be really close. I think it's a toss up, but Caleb Williams will probably make more plays in the end.
I've got Georgia getting the win over the LSU, and hopefully as much as I would love a topsy-turvy top 4 in the Final Four, I hope Georgia beats the snot out of LSU. I give LSU.
They're going to win.
Go ahead.
They're going to win by 40. Jaden Daniels, the quarterback at LSU, is a little banged up. Very mobile guy. So when he's banged up in a walking boot, you know that his mobility is limited.
Yep.
LSU has to play a perfect game to even keep it close, and I don't think they can.
I'm hopeful for K-State to beat TCU. TCU pretty strong, the Horned Frogs, but I like Vaughn and what he can do. I'm kind of excited about K-State giving him the ball as much as possible, although he's not a big touchdown machine, but he can rack up yards and keep the chains moving. So I'm looking forward to that. And then obviously I would love to see it. There's no way in hell Purdue gets the win, but
spoiler makers.
I would love to see I would love to see the spoiler makers do their job against Michigan. If Michigan would lose, does Michigan get bounced out of the top 4?
No way.
I wouldn't think so.
No way. Their resume is too good.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so.
And like Ohio State also has one loss, but they lost to Michigan. And that brings up this timeless story, which now the playoffs expanding. Good thing these games won't matter anymore. And they'll all just make it.
Yep.
What a joke.
And then obviously you have the Subway ACC championship, and that is Clemson and North Carolina. And Clemson's going to win that game. Pretty much going away. So
I don't know.
I'll tell you this, though. I mean, Shipley's having a hell of a season. 14 touchdowns on the year. He's got over almost 1,100 yards. He's had a hell of a season. Been a touchdown machine.
If you think Wisconsin's offense is inept, you should watch Clemson play football. It is comical.
Clemson has not put up huge numbers. I agree with you. But their defense is just so good. Just so good. So anyway, that's just a few thoughts going into the weekend for some of the conference championship games. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. This portion of the program brought to you by the Social House. I know they're opening up early on this weekend for the USA soccer match. Football on the pitch, if you will. But that being said, they're going to be open early. But if you're looking for a great place to go, good food, they're the home of the cheese curd burger, which goes year round for them. And it's curds. It's not a giant curd. It is the cheese curds burger. They just got them everywhere. So you want a good food, stop in, get yourself a really good Bloody Mary over there as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers worked out inside the Hudson Center, reviewing the game plan against the Bears Sunday. There's excitement the Packers could get rookie receiver Romeo Doubs back. He practiced for the first time since suffering a high ankle sprain against the Lions a month ago. Doubs asked if he could play this Sunday.
Right now, it's real questionable. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll leave that up to medical staff or whatnot. But, I feel great coming out today. Expected to feel real good coming out again tomorrow.
Aaron Rodgers did not practice, but insists he'll play despite some sore ribs and a fractured thumb. Why does he want to face the Bears?
Pride, for one, love of the game. They're paying me to play. A lot of different issues, but, I'd love to compete and want to be out there with my guys.
I asked Matt LaFleur about Rodgers insisting he'll be ready.
Well, it just speaks to how competitive he is and how much he's invested into this game, this team. And regardless of circumstances. And that's what we kind of talk about our team all the time is competitive greatness, being your best when your best is required, regardless of the circumstance. That's one thing you can always expect from him.
Last year when the Packers beat the Bears 24-14, Aaron Rodgers yelled, "I own you" to the fans in the stands. Do the Bears want a rematch? Tight end and Chicago native Cole Kmet.
Yeah, let's bring it on. I mean, why wouldn't you? He's the staple of their franchise, and to get opportunity to go beat him, it would always be a good feeling. So yeah, I would like to see Aaron out there for sure.
That's Bears tight end Cole Kmet. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Good fare. Good fare. This time of year, you want to go take a load out? They got the Pasta Bowl going on at Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews, and that is right there on County Road K in Oconomowoc. Stop in and tell Tom and Stacy and everybody that we said hi. They've got all kinds of good sauces to go with it. Delicious to the bones. They have got some clucking chicken around, too. They've got different dishes. They're always coming up with something new. It's really cool. And they cater. So if you're looking for catering, you can find catering as well. 262-727-7255. 262-727-7255. Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews right out there in County Road K in Oconomowoc. Great people, great place. Go take a load off, get some holiday cheer, go enjoy yourself. Good stuff from our friends at Boondocks. Coming up in the next hour, we are going to hear from Matt LaFleur as he goes to the podium today. This is from Max. Max says, love all the talk about the coaching staff and the criticism of the front office, as well as Joe Barry. I think there's enough blame to go around for this season, but I think it starts with the players on the field. Who is the unmotivated players that you would like to get rid of? And then he says, exclude their salaries. Who would you get rid of? Oh, boy, that's a great question. If I were going to upgrade positions, let's start there, okay? Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard, right there. I think Cobb's been a better receiver than both, okay? So upgrade, obviously, the wide receiver position with another veteran and another draft choice. Josh Myers has had a down season. So my assumption is he'll come back and play better next year, but he's had a down season. The offensive line has not looked good since Stenovich became the offensive coordinator. I'll go with that. I would like to upgrade the tight end position. You're not going to get Mercedes Lewis, Josiah DeGuara, Tyler Davis. Those guys pretty much, they're on the outside looking in. Another, by the way, DeGuara, another third-round draft choice bust. So you've got Tanyan and whomever else you bring in. You need another running back or two. Dean Lowry, bye. TJ Slayton, bye. Start over with another guy in the trenches. You can rotate him in with Jaron Reed, Devontae Wyatt. I would assume Crosby, this is probably his last year. Even though he's kicked pretty well, I would assume this is his last year. Because you go with him back to 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Out of that defense, Quay Walker's going to get better. Devontae Wyatt's going to get better. I wouldn't get rid of Devondre Campbell. Preston Smith is due for the upseason, so I'm not going to get rid of him next year. I like the tenacity of Isaiah McDuffie. I think you've got what you'd like to get better at is the tenacity of your safeties. And you want to get Stokes back on track, and obviously with Jair. And maybe you would go in a different direction than Rasul Douglas. There's just a few of the weaknesses that I believe are sitting there right now. Darnell Savage was a hitter. I don't know what's happened to him, but it's like he got hurt, and all of a sudden he didn't want to hit anymore. So that's the answer to your question. We got another hour yet to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Rodgers is on the practice field today after sitting out yesterday's session due to his thumb and rib injuries. Rodgers was initially concerned last Sunday about organ damage when he got hurt against Philadelphia, but scans showed no damage, and he now will play this week against Chicago. As for the rest of the season, that remains to be seen. Packers 4-8, still mathematically alive for a playoff spot. Another loss, though, would almost certainly end their chances, and then the team has to think about playing Jordan Love over a banged-up Rodgers. It's something the quarterback understands.
There's a lot of us kind of older guys who, play a decent amount, who they might want to see some younger guys play. So, hopefully we don't have to have that conversation. But if that conversation comes up, I'll approach that with an open mind and, without any bitterness or resentment. Obviously, like I said, I want to win out, and we don't have to have those conversations. But I understand if we don't, that's a possibility to have that conversation.
Rodgers and the Packers going to face the Bears on Sunday. Kick is at noon. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to find out their bowl destination this Sunday. Should also know by then who will actually be coaching that game. New coach Luke Fickell said Monday he was still working through that with interim coach Jim Leonard.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucks have won 3 straight games. That's after a 109-103 win in New York last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 37 points before fouling out late. Grayson Allen, big three-pointer with 30 seconds left to give Milwaukee a lead. They will now head back home to face the Lakers tomorrow night. Chris Middleton expected to make his season debut. And Wisconsin and Marquette going to meet Saturday in Milwaukee. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Phil Michaels Show. Final hour of the program. You got them. You don't want them. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. That's MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Don't forget them. Flying creepy crawlies anywhere around your house, or maybe just preventative maintenance for whether it's an apartment complex, if you're a property owner. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. That's MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Let's get back to the phone call. Let's go to Rob, listening to us up in Door County. Rob, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Doing great, Bill. You're doing an excellent job with 2 key topics. Rodgers and LaFleur, are they right for the future? And overall, how do the Packers get better? And I would offer that we're in an era now where it's more important than it's ever been for NFL teams to believe and buy into their 2 leaders, the head coach and the QB. Not just as individuals, but the relationship the 2 of them have together. I'll give you the perfect example, the Washington Commanders. Mm-hmm. Everybody in that locker room, including Rivera, knew Wentz was not right for that team.
Right.
And what's happened since Heineke's in? They play with the joy and the emotional intensity of a top college team, and they're winning, which leads me to my key point I think everyone of us needs to consider moving forward, and that the Packers need to consider. And that's the college transfer portal is breeding a mindset in the top players now who are going to be the ones drafted and filling the rosters of they're just going to go where they buy into the coach and the system. And I'm not saying that's bad. And the coaches in college now have a mindset of, I'm going to transfer in the guys who are going to buy into what I'm selling. Unfortunately, in the NFL, the teams, the players, and the coaches don't have that easy annual convenience. So it's going to be a lot easier for head coaches and QBs to lose the locker room. And I think that's what we have to start considering when we're saying, why are the Packers 4-8 and what are they going to be next year?
Good stuff. Interesting, Rob. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening to us up in Door County. On the mighty WMAM, by the way, which blasts across the bay, and Door County, the one home of one Kevin Harlan. Tell Kevin, if you see Kevin up there, tell him we said hi and we want to get him on the program. So in absorbing what it is he says is that if you don't have that enthusiastic, symbiotic relationship between the 2 leaders of your football team, between the head coach and the quarterback, you don't have success. which is true. I understand that. Aaron Rodgers has numerous times this year gone out of his way to praise the head coach. Now, he has said at times, look, I'm not calling the plays. That's not my call. But he did go on to say, but I do like what's being called. But we have seen what the F are you doing rear its ugly head at least once, but I think in the looks and the whatever was said on the sidelines between him and Matt LaFleur, it's come to a head a couple of times. I believe that the relationship between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, it's not that the bloom has come off the rose. I think that it's the first couple of years, it's different. It's energizing. You're like, this is great. This is great. I got an innovative head coach, a guy that I can text. I can sit down and watch games with. If I'm watching a game on Monday night and I see something, I'm like, did you see that? This is what Aaron Rodgers was saying, that he could text Matt LaFleur and say, did you see that? Can we do that? Matt LaFleur go, yeah, let's talk about it. I don't know if that dynamic is still there. I don't know if that energy is still there. It's an intangible you can't put your finger on. And it's probably way beyond the level of depth I'm giving it when it comes to the intellect side. I don't know what that relationship is. Perception becoming reality, it doesn't look as good as it once was. It looks strained. It looks dysfunctional. It looks like there's been reversion back to bad habits. And Rodgers has been emphatic saying, I'm not calling the plays. It's not me. Don't look at me. So that's a great question. If you're going to look at that leadership, does Aaron Rodgers give you the perception of leadership? Could you call that into question? I think some have at times. It's funny because you take a guy like Brady and he's being a leader by screaming and yelling at guys and wanting to be the best and such, and people love it. And then Rodgers does it and he's a petulant diva. But this is the way I explain it to people, because people will ask me the exact same question I'm asking you. And the way I look at it is, it's what I see. Is it similar actions? Yeah. Is it presentation? It's different. You got one coach, you got two coaches, three coaches, Vrabel, Rivera, LaFleur. They've all cried, right? We've seen them cry. We've seen them get emotional. Two coaches are fighting for their guys. They put their emotion, heart, and soul into that. Another coach is perceived as crying because he's lost his locker room and he's losing his job. Same action, just different perception. So it's kind of like what you see and what you perceive it as. We both can look out the window and see clouds and sun. To you, it's partly cloudy. To me, it's mostly sunny. It doesn't mean we saw different things. It just means we perceive it differently. And I think that's where some look at this relationship with Rodgers and LaFleur and say, you know what? It's run its course. It's run its course. Does that make sense, Ben? Am I kind of talking in circles and blowing smoke out of my own ass, or does that make sense as to the kind of the descriptiveness I give when it comes to the relationships we witness?
Yes, I think it does make sense generally. I don't know. I think the dynamic is so tough, or it was made tough, at least when Rodgers came back in 2021 with all of the, Goody and GM and power and things of that nature. And then with the money, it's a dynamic you're not going to find anywhere else in the league.
Yeah.
Between coach and quarterback and team, where even when Brady's there, he obviously feels kind of larger than the team, but not even close to as much as Rodgers does.
Right.
So it's very unique in that way.
Brady may feel it, but you'll never get that perception out of him.
Right.
Right. Huh.
And
It's
like
terrific.
I commend the fact that Rodgers talks with the media for 20 minutes a week. Like I don't take that for granted at all. That does not happen close to everywhere. But like that is the sense where there's a reason that every single writer in the building is at his locker for that long as they could possibly be. What he says carries as much weight as anyone in that building.
Right.
So the question then is that healthy for a football franchise?
Good point.
And the answer could be yes if he's that good.
Well,
it's just like you don't see it often anywhere else in the structure of the NFL.
But we focus in on what Brady says when Brady goes to the podium. It carries a lot of weight.
We do. I guess he says a lot less.
Yeah. As you become a superstar in this league, what you say carries weight. Do we pay attention to Kirk Cousins? No. But if Justin Jefferson comes out, yes. Do we pay attention to, one of the defenders of Cincinnati, or do we pay attention to Joe Burrow? When Joe Burrow speaks, people listen. When Patrick Mahomes speaks, people listen. So I think as your stardom grows, as your superstardom grows, is what level of listenability you then have. So I understand it, but you're right, because when Rodgers speaks and has the platform on McAfee and such, I mean, by far, I believe that's probably the highest rated segments of McAfee all week is when Aaron Rodgers is on there and what he has to say and what's he going to say. Because people are listening. They're not listening now for Football Insight. They're not listening for that. They're listening for the out there. They're listening for, does he really believe that 9/11 was a hoax? They're listening for more colon cleansing ideas. Is he going to say something that, just is bizarre? Because he's become as much a quarterback in the NFL as he is somewhat of a bizarre sideshow as to some of his beliefs and thoughts. Would you agree with that?
Kind of. Definitely for those outside of Green Bay. I'm talking more from the standpoint of what we do and what Packers fans care about and what the media cares about. Aside from all the McAfee stuff and all the offseason stuff, it's the player personnel conversations where he gets asked about Amari Rodgers and he says he's returning punts. And we all say, oh, Amari Rodgers can't play. He's gone. Rodgers must not like him for whatever reason. Yeah. And then when it comes to Cobb and Mercedes Lewis and all these things, I genuinely wonder if that's healthy for an NFL franchise to have the quarterback be the de facto GM from the eyes of the public when it comes to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a good point, MZ. Says, what about State Farm? I haven't seen Aaron Rodgers in a State Farm commercial in a while. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's been the commercials with, they brought in Andy Reid to work with Patrick Mahomes,
which is terrific.
I think.
I will also say, if Aaron Rodgers had been playing great all season and the team wasn't spectacular, but like, let's say Rodgers had played at the top of his level with this flawed team, with the flawed defense and the not great offense, I think the conversations are very different.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's had a broken thumb, played through injuries, not played close to his level. And some of the losses, you can kind of look at the quarterback and say that's why. It's made the dynamic tough. When you're winning, okay, that can all work fine. When you're losing, is that really a good situation to be in?
I think Rodgers is very much like when Favre used to speak. Favre used to command a room when you could hear a pin drop. Same thing with same thing with Rodgers. And he's just got that listenable level because he challenges you to think. Some of the stuff he says you're completely blown away by. There's always something goofy that gets dropped, and we're listening to every word to critique it of what he says and what he doesn't say. It's morphed into that. Let's do this. We're going to step away. When we come back, the guy that you're going to want to hear. Should I tell everybody that they can hear Matt LaFleur when we come back? You want to hear Matt LaFleur when we come back? You got to.
Do people want to hear Matt LaFleur?
You got to hear a little bit, right? You got to hear a little bit, Matt LaFleur. By the way, a place where you can go, you don't have to listen to anything. That is up on the island. The Four Seasons Island Resort, Pembine, Wisconsin, on the Muscano Island. They've got the Chocolate Festival coming up in January. They also have Al Capone's birthday. Now, it's kind of a weird celebration because it's a kind of a blast from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and such, but because that's a place that Al Capone and his gang leaders used to go and get away from the riggers and the police from Chicago. They used to head up there, so they do the Al Capone weekend, January 13th and 14th. Right after that, they've got the Chocolate Festival coming up, and they still have holiday parties coming up. That is the Four Seasons Island Resort in Pembine, Wisconsin. Four Seasons Island Resort in Pembine, Wisconsin. Get a hold of our girl Barb up there, B-A-R-B, Barb, at thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Barb at thefourseasonswisconsin.com, or call her direct, 715-324-5800. Book your stay today and make sure you tell them you heard it here. You get automatic 15% off. Not bad, huh? Automatic 15% off. Again, 715-324-5800. 715-324-5800. A lot going on the island. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. Before we get to Matt LaFleur, Ben, what is the definition for an online influencer?
Ooh, smart to ask me, being that I am the young idiot in these parts around here, the zone. I don't think there's a certain definition. I guess someone with a large enough following to invoke action with an audience, I would say.
Okay.
So, like, attractive people on Instagram post pictures. They have a large following because people think they're attractive, and then they have a certain brand of anything in the picture, and then it's an advertisement, things of that nature.
Okay.
Why, are you trying to become one?
No. I was called one in an email, and I thought, we're really more over the air. Don't get me wrong, we do the show on YouTube and Facebook Live and Twitch TV and such every day, but I would not consider myself a social media influencer, an online influencer, we'll say. So I wanted.
Well, I guess on Twitter you are.
Well, I guess.
And also, I guess if you take online out of the definition, then by definition, most radio shows are, if it has certain listenership, or certain people care about what the host has to say.
Okay. Yeah, it was one of those things. I'm like, well, it's not. I don't think that's really. It's nice if you thought that way, but that's not necessarily what we're specifically aiming for, I guess. But okay, if you want to think of us that way, that's fine. But I didn't know, because you look online and you say, what is the definition of an online influencer? I'm like, no, that's not us. That's not us. But, everybody's got brands and everybody has something. I mean, online influencers talk about something specific, and they do have sponsors along the way. McAfee, I would consider an online influencer, because that's where he kind of really rocketed up to stardom, was what he started doing online. I mean, he's got millions of followers. McAfee does.
I would say the show influences.
It does, but we're not, we got 25,000 followers, I think. McAfee's looking at like 2.7 million or something like that last I checked. So anyway,
McAfee doesn't talk about Irish dancing, though.
This is
true.
See? This is true. But did you hear yesterday when he said that anytime you mention Brett Favre's name, he called him Sticky Fingers Favre?
I read a story on that this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
That he said, anytime you talk about Brett Favre, now you have to say, talk about the Mississippi fraud that has taken place in the welfare system there. So anyway. All right. Let's do this. Matt LaFleur at the podium just a short time ago. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, Matt, for everything that Christian's kind of put into it this year, how nice was it to see him get that NFL Rookie of the Month honor?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, certainly there's a lot of ball left in his career, not to say that he won't have more. I mean, that's just the nature of this game. And you got to constantly, keep grinding and working to get better, which he's got a tremendous work ethic. He's got a tremendous approach. So I expect him to continue to get better and better and better.
Hey, Matt, I know there's no guarantee on what's going to happen Sunday, but just what would it mean to the defense to get Devondre Campbell back if he's able to get back in the lineup?
Yeah, I think that would be a big shot in the arm. I think Dre's been chomping at the bit to get out here and to get back to playing. So yeah, definitely, he's a captain, and typically up until he went out, he was the guy giving the calls at each and every play. So I think anytime you can get a guy like that back, and certainly we all know the type of player he is, the type of leader he is. And so that would be a big shot in the arm.
Punt returns, there haven't been as many opportunities for whatever reason. Can he?
We got to get the stops first. We got to earn those ops, Rob.
I was trying to be cocky.
I gotcha.
Does he have? I mean, I know it's a little bit of a different skill set, but can he bring some of that same wiggle that he has on kick returns to punt returns too? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, if given the opportunity, and we still got to do a great job, obviously, getting people into that situation, and then, whether it's a return or whatever, guys kind of block their man to give him an opportunity to get going. But we've seen it in some limited returns that he's a fearless guy. And sometimes I'm over there thinking to myself, surely he's going to fair catch this ball, and he doesn't. So, but that's just kind of his mindset. He's aggressive, and he definitely doesn't lack confidence.
Glad you mentioned that, Carl. I was going to ask about the kickoffs. You took a couple out from 5 and 6 yards deep. I know the last one was super late in the game, but is that, because he's been doing well and he's explosive, is that a good decision, like the one in the third quarter?
Good to see you, Tom. Can you repeat that question, Bill? I'm sorry, I got really distracted right there.
Keyshawn with those, he had a couple of kickoff returns from pretty far deep. Obviously, the one at the end is probably one thing, but is that okay going 5, 6 yards deep, or would you rather just take the ball to 25?
Well, we had a lot of confidence going into it. I think Rich, told me we were going to be aggressive, and we were like, go for it. So, our whole return unit did a great job of making their blocks and creating space. And then Keyshawn was hitting the right holes. And so hopefully we'll continue to get not too many more opportunities, but one a game would be great.
Until tomorrow.
No, he'll be out there. As far as how much he'll do, it'll be limited.
Tackling Sunday being like the worst it's been since you've been here. Over the course of the season, how do you think your tackling has been, and just over the course of the year?
Well, it's been pretty solid up until, especially Sunday. That's the thing that sticks out in my mind the most. But I think early on, especially, we were doing a great job, and we got to get back to that. And it's not just one guy; it's everybody, and making sure, again, maintaining your leverage on the ball, and then having multiple hats at the party. So I think that's a big emphasis. It always is, but it certainly is against a team that is the number one rushing unit in the National Football League. So we have a tremendous task in front of us in order to try to limit their ability to run the ball.
Sammy's production, just a lack of opportunity, Watkins. Sure.
Yeah, I think obviously he had the setback when he pulled his hamstring. I thought he was doing some great things. I mean, he had a big game in that the first time we played Chicago, and was doing some great things. And I think sometimes that obviously limits your opportunities if you're not out there. But it's a byproduct of a lot of things. But I also think that it's just, I would like to get him more opportunities, but it's also a credit to some of the other guys that have come on, Christian coming on and doing what he's been able to do. And those guys kind of splitting reps or sharing some time at the X.
Better runner when the quarterback's under center.
That's tough to say. I'd have to go, crunch the numbers real quick. I'm sure you got them though, Tom.
Logically, he's a big guy, and to get him going, moving forward off of a snap like that, does that? It seemed like his best runs against the Eagles were under center.
Yeah, no, and the one touchdown, obviously, that was really well blocked as well. We did a great job on the backside B block, I think it was, of getting a guy out of the gap, and it created a massive hole. Our guys on the left side of the line really came off the ball. We got blocks at the second level, and AJ did exactly what he needs to do. He pressed it right at one gap at a time, was a one cut, and he just hit it downhill full speed ahead. So I think in instances, I think it's so dependent each and every week on who you're playing, what the plan is in that regard. But certainly I've got confidence whether we're in the gun or under center with him. I do think there's probably some things he does a little bit better than others, just like most players. And that's our responsibility as coaches to try to get those guys in those situations so that they can really accentuate their strengths.
tackles defensively, but offensively, do you feel like you guys have maybe found something, or is it just as simple as getting a playmaker on the perimeter like Christian, or is there something more to it that you've kind of found something like?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. You would like to think that we're the cohesiveness of the offensive unit is getting better as you go. I mean, that's a whole goal, right? And the further you go along in the year, you want to start getting better and better and better. And I think that's some of it. I think we have gelled much better, but it's one game, and you got to continue and you got to build up upon that. The one thing I'd like to see is to have a repeat performance, because I really don't think we've done that this season. We've had moments where we've been very sharp and look like a cohesive unit, but then there's been moments where we go 3 and out, or we struggle to move the ball altogether. So I think each and every week you've got to reset your mind and reset the plan, and guys got to go out there and you got to earn it. And like we talked about to the guys yesterday, you don't just go out there on Sundays and do it. You earn it every day, Monday through Saturday, by putting in the work, relentless effort, great attention to detail. I do think our guys are starting to learn more of the details and the nuances in terms of what makes, usually the difference between good and great is knowing all the intricacies and the details of the plays, because otherwise they're kind of just plays out there.
All right, that'd be it. There you go. Matt LaFleur talking to the media a little bit better today, I guess, if you want to give it a critique. Hey, a reminder, our friends at the Milwaukee Admirals, they got a lot of good hockey ahead of them. And the concert series well underway. And they got Scott McCreery coming up Saturday, January 28th. Russell Dickerson on Friday, March 9th. And then when you bring in St. Patrick's Day, you got to bring in the Dropkick Murphys. That's right. St. Patrick's Day, March 11th. Creeping in on St. Patrick's Day at the UW Panther Arena after the game, the Dropkick Murphys. Then on Friday, April 14th, it is the Stone Temple Pilots. Remember them? So they got some good music coming to town. Good music stuff going on at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. Stay tuned. We got more coming up after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This December, it's a cash avalanche at Potawatomi. Saturdays, you could get buried in up to 10 grand cash. Plus, all the unclaimed prizes snowball into a huge cash jackpot at the end of the month. Just play with your club card for a chance to win. Sure, presents are nice, but nothing beats cold, hard cash. Only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More info at paysbig.com/coldcash. Must be 21 years old to play.
What do you get the meat lover, the grilling lover in your life this holiday season? How about a gift subscription to Scholze Family Beef? Go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show continues on. Some news coming out of Michigan as they get ready for the Big Ten championship game. Their star running back, Blake Corum, having knee surgery, out for the remainder of the season. The Heisman candidate, he should make a full recovery, they say, but he tried to play last week against the Buckeyes, but the knee just not up to it. So they're going to shut him down, and he's going in for knee surgery. So his season effectively over for the Wolverines. So just bringing that up.
You know what this shows, Bill?
What's that?
This whole situation shows everybody why stars in recruiting very much matter. Because Blake Corum missed the Ohio State game pretty much, and guess what happened with him on the bench? A 5-star came in right behind him, ran for 200 yards.
Yep.
So when you're able to build a roster with 5 stars on 4 stars on 5 stars, those type of losses don't really matter.
Yep.
They matter, but not nearly as much.
No, not as much as you would think. No. And again, you're talking about a guy that was, at the beginning of the season being talked about, and throughout the season missed the possibility of a Heisman candidate, even though I think it was a long shot. But still, when you're able to just say, okay, we'll put the next guy in. Yeah, that's star depth right there, without a doubt. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, Bears head coach Matt Eberflus said Justin Fields limited in practice again, but he's continuing to improve. Trevor Siemian not practicing because of the oblique injury. They brought in Tim Boyle, as we talked about a little bit earlier today. And Eberflus wants Fields to continue playing efficiently, as he put it, over the final stretch. In other words, be smart, throw the ball away, don't get blown up. That's, if you want to put it into the deciphering speak of a coach, that's kind of what it is. And the Bears were working out some safeties and such earlier this week, and J.R. Reed and such, and Adrian Colbert working out some of those guys, but trying to get ready for this Packers game. And meanwhile, the says that Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers this offseason appears to be either retiring or staying with the Packers. A trade not completely out of the picture, but as Jeff Howe of The Athletic puts it, the Packers would get plenty of interest in that scenario should they try to trade him. But Ian Rappaport says Rodgers plans to continue to play despite suffering the rib injury, as we all know, and that wants to continue to play next season. So, there's nothing new here when it talks about some of this stuff. We pretty much knew this all along. I would be really surprised if Rodgers would go away at the end of the season and just say, "Nope, I'm done. I'm done." I really do. I think for two reasons. One, he's got a lot of money on the table that he could possibly give up, and then secondly, that I just don't. It's not that I don't think that he could coexist on the same stage going into the Hall of Fame the same day as Tom Brady. I don't think it's that. I just think it's for two reasons. One, you want your own standalone day. And two, you want to give Brady his own standalone day. You know, I don't see Rodgers doing that.
What if Brady comes back? What if Brady goes back to New England?
That's kind of what they've been talking about in New England, isn't it? That Brady's done after this year. I don't see happen. I think Brady walks away before he goes back to New England. I don't see that happening. And let's be honest, if you're Brady, do you want to go back to New England?
I'd probably want to get out of Tampa, frankly.
I'd probably want to get out of Tampa, but I think at this point in time, Brady's what, 45? Correct me if I'm wrong, 45 years old? 44, 45, going to be 45?
45.
No. This was the season you saw, obviously he's gone through a lot. So you don't know what level of ability he still has versus what he doesn't and what Father Time has taken away. Certainly he's still an incredibly viable quarterback at the age of 45. But this season took a toll. This offseason took a toll. Now, then again, he doesn't have anybody holding him back, right? It's not like Giselle sitting there going, you play again and I'm leaving you, because now she's already left. I mean, she's already moved on, for God's sakes. But, this season took a toll. I think he's just now like, you know what? I'm already splitting time and probably splitting cities with my kids. I just, if that's what he wants to do, I would assume he's just going to walk away from the game. Although, some of the greatest of greats, they just don't know when to go. They don't know when to retire. They don't know when to call it a career. So maybe Brady does come back to get past the 45 mark, to say, I'm going to defy all the odds. He's already done it. But if he thinks like, going into next season, hey, whatever this I'll take less or what have you, and let's go get another team that can, fortify. Who knows? Maybe he's got that competitive drive. Wouldn't put it past him. He certainly has been a health nut, a health fanatic, and keeping his body ready. You can't fault him for that. The guy's, 45 years old. He's still out there taking hits. But I can't imagine him coming back. Can't imagine him coming back. Just, I don't see it happening. 877-867-1670. I did want to address this, but I wanted to give it more time, and I just don't specifically have the time for it, but I don't want to gloss over it. And it was the discussion yesterday and very much this morning. LeBron James was disappointed by the questions or the lack of questions, we'll say, regarding Jerry Jones in that picture. Okay. We haven't talked about it. I try to stick more to sports than I do the political side of things or social side of things. But LeBron James went after reporters after the 128-109 win over the Portland Trail Blazers. And he was asked a lot about, at the time when Kyrie Irving had put out his tweet and such, and that was deemed insensitive. James said last night, I've got one question for you guys before you guys leave. Excuse me. Said, I was thinking when I was on my way over here, I was just wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about Jerry Jones in that photo. But he said when that Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us all kinds of questions about that. Now, here's the thing. Excuse me, got into a coughing jig. He said, LeBron James said, me personally, I don't condone any hate of any kind to any race, to Jewish communities, to black communities, to Asian communities. You guys know where I stand. He said, I believe what Kyrie did caused some harm to a lot of people. And he has since, over the last, I think it was today or yesterday, he apologized, but he caused some harm, and I think it's unfortunate. But he wants to know about Jerry Jones and why he wasn't asked about that. And this is a picture that surfaced of Jerry Jones back in 1957 when Jerry Jones was 14 years old. It's a picture of a predominantly white crowd, and Jones is in it, and they were attempting at the time to block 6 black students from entering the doors of North Little Rock High School. And again, it's 1957. And I get that LeBron James wants to be this social, outspoken activist. But to chastise the media, what Kyrie did, 1, Kyrie was a former teammate. 2, it's current. It happened recently in the league in which he plays. What Jerry Jones did or was accused of doing, and I believe Jerry Jones was part of that. He said he was just there to be an observer, but come on. But this was 1957. And it's hard to put yourself in eras like that. I wasn't born then. I wasn't, I don't know what the tenor of the country was at that point in time. I know today, looking back, it wasn't good, obviously. But I would never ask somebody to explain something that they did when they're now going in their 80s, back when they were 14 years old. As much as, somebody may look at me in 20 years or 30 years and say, why weren't you more outspoken against COVID or vaccinations or whatever? It's like, you're in the time. You just deal with it in the time. Now it's different because obviously we're talking about human rights here versus, getting a vaccine. But on one hand, I understand it because he wants to be the activist, and people have been asking about it today. That's the only reason I bring it up. But on the other hand, it was 1957. This isn't like it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. This is 1957. There's a long time. A lot has changed since 1957. You can't go back and rewrite history. All you can do is say, I was wrong then, and move on and learn from it and not repeat it. If we had to go back and rewrite history, all we're doing is lying to ourselves. Live and learn from your own mistakes and grow. But I thought, him calling out the media last night was a typical kind of LeBron James style move, so to speak. Anyway, but people ask me about it, so I wanted to just say I wanted to talk about it, but I just don't have a ton of time. So anyway, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, come back, wrap things up. Coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho,
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it 2 years later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 24 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Sure, with compliance control for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers at practice today, getting ready to face the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Green Bay has only won 1 of their last 8 games. As they head into Week 13, nose tackle Kenny Clark.
At this point, right now, I'm just trying to, put together a great game and help our defense, put together a great game. Seeing like all year, just everything just really been a roller coaster. So, at this point, we just trying to just win a football game and play good football at the end of the day.
The Bears are 3-9, and although they are rebuilding, they're still competing. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus.
You're measured on the wins and losses. Win and loss matters. It does matter. That's why you're in the business, to win and lose games, right? You're here to win it. And when you come up short, you have to look at the positives and look at the things you got to correct to get better. And I do think we are getting better.
The Bears had to place veteran safety Eddie Jackson on IR after suffering a season-ending foot injury on the turf against the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Bears defensive back DeAndre Houston Carson.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's, in my opinion, the best in the game, a great teammate. So obviously it hurts us, but we just got to find a way to try to find that production, from other people.
Former Bears safety Adrian Amos says it's time for the Packers to improve on their 4-8 record.
No quit, keep grinding. That's really all we can do is keep grinding. Everybody point their finger at themselves because we haven't won too many games, so it's really everybody.
And the Wisconsin Badgers' new head coach, Luke Fickell, produced several NFL players while at Cincinnati, including Jets defensive back Sauce Gardner, Falcons quarterback Desmond Ridder, and Packers tight end Josiah DeGuara.
He's a great leader. He knows how to lead men. He knows how to lead kids that come into the different programs. He knows how to change and shift a culture. You really buy into what he's saying and you believe what he's saying, and you grow a love for him. He loves and cares about each and every person in the locker room. So that's what he does really well. And obviously he did a great job at Cincinnati, and I know he'll continue to do a great job.
That's Packers tight end Josiah DeGuara. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Couple of minutes to go before we get out of here. And one thing we got to delve into a little bit deeper tomorrow, and that is the college football playoff moving to 12 teams coming up the 2024-2025 seasons with the Rose Bowl. Yes. You're excited about this, aren't you, Ben?
No, not at all.
You're not?
No. I don't want the playoff to expand. So I guess that's a teaser for tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
I'm very passionate on this topic.
I thought you'd be giddy over this.
No.
There wouldn't be any
I missed the
question
BCS.
Anymore. Oh, jeez. So, well, you're still going to have the committee voting, which I think is ridiculous. I think anything that's put out there before week 6 is an absolute effing joke. But I'm in favor of a playoff. I like it. We're all about one and dones and the tournament, and so I'm giddy. But the Rose Bowl reached an agreement that officially paves the way for the college football playoffs to expand into the final 2 seasons of the current contract, looking at 2024 and 2025. So the college football playoff executive director Bill Hancock said that we are delighted to be moving forward. So, by the way,
and tomorrow people get to yell at me and call me an idiot.
The first round of the playoffs in 2024 are going to take place the week ending Saturday, December 21st at either the home field of the higher seed or another site designated by the higher seed school. So,
which is soft. And Ohio State's going to get out of the snow. Oh, they're going to go play in a dome where their offense can work.
Yeah, why would you want to pull it out of the shoe, though?
Because they can't play in the weather. Because they're a finesse football team, Bill.
Okay. I personally, unless you go to a venue that's going to give you more than 100,000 people, I would not want to lose the revenue moving out of the shoe. And I wouldn't want to piss off my fan base.
The fan base is pissed off already.
Well,
they're losing to Michigan.
So let's not even put Ohio State in it then at this point. Let's be honest,
Well, it's 12 teams, so the whole nation makes it. So
there you go.
Regular season doesn't matter anymore.
Ben Kenny tonight coming up. Kenny and Heilprin 6 to 8 this evening, and I'm sure you guys are going to 5 to 6. I'm sorry, 5 to 6 this evening. You guys are going to discuss, I'm sure, and we'll talk more about that coming up tomorrow on the program as we round out our week. Until then, by the way, speaking of that, rounding out our week next week, you guys got Tanner Bartolini on tonight, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, talking Luke Fickell.
There you go. Little Luke Fickell chatter this evening.